All right, San Diego Sports 760, John Schaefer and Sammy Long. It is good to be back in San Diego. I have not been on the air in the better part of a week, and to be honest with you, it's kind of been nice. I mean, I've been on with the Aztec games because San Diego State played. Well, since I've had a show, Aztecs lost at New Mexico, that heartbreaking game. Then they lost last night. A frustrating game is how I would describe it. And then I woke up this morning in Boise and took a 7 a.m. flight and back here in San Diego. So a lot to get into. We will get, obviously, to the Aztecs. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, is on the show at 4 p.m. Sammy Long hanging out for the next hour as well. We have, Brent, tell me about these giveaways. We have good ones. We've got a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park today. We also have a pair of tickets to the BNP Paribas Open today. So really good giveaways. I actually want to start with the return of Joe Musgrove because it's been a year in the making. And to me, this has nothing to do with his line. This has nothing to do with velocity, total pitches thrown, 5 singles allowed, 1 run, facing, Great Britain in the true rivalry game, that we've been waiting for 250 years, so to speak. It's just about getting back in the hill, Sammy. It's like, when you've been waiting so long, we haven't seen him since 2024, the postseason, and now it's 2026. It's kind of like a lifetime ago, but he's apparently healthy. All the stuff that surrounds it appears good. Velocity, good. Who cares if you allowed 5 singles? Who cares if you allowed 1 run? Who cares if you went 3 scoreless innings and struck out 9? It's just to be back out there in a spring training game 3 weeks before opening day. I think that's overall encouraging for the Padres.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about this last week. People are probably going to overreact when the season starts to, Joe Musgrove only went 2-3 innings or he got touched up in an outing. Well, yeah, he's not just going to be the old Joe Musgrove from 2-3 years ago that we all know and love.
Right.
But right, to everything you're saying, just seeing him out there on the mound, and we know if this team wants to get to where they need to go, Pivetta has to be pitching at a high level, and King and Musgrove have to be hurt. And King was hurt with, odd circumstances last year. Expect him to be healthy for the full year. In Musgrove, we keep talking about this is why it's so crucial that either Marquez or Buehler or Vasquez kind of eats up a lot of games in the middle of the year, because the last conversation we want to be having a month into the season is, oh no, Joe Musgrove's already overpacing the amount of innings they wanted him to pitch. So to your point, I'm just excited to see him back out there, and it just really speaks to the importance of Buehler, Marquez, Canning when he gets back. One of these guys has to step up and at least be able to eat innings for the Padres.
Yeah, I agree completely with that because, Musgrove, there's guys that have come off, like Kevin Acee had this point with me recently, that there's guys that come off Tommy John and could throw like 150 innings. And Joe Musgrove would be a candidate for that because he's just such a bulldog, whatever the cliche is, workhorse. Like he is that guy, and I trust in Joe. But for me, Joe Musgrove has never been about the numbers. He's never been a sheer numbers guy. Like when I talk about Michael King, I'll be like, he's got a 3 ERA as a starter, as a Padre. Like that's
I agree with that.
Musgrove's the guy, like, give him the ball and he'll figure it out. He's the Game 3 Mets guy at Citi Field. He's the no-hitter guy. He's the San Diegan. He's the leader guy. He's the glue guy. Like, I don't even know how to describe him.
To your point, I know what you're saying. Joe Musgrove, even coming off all the injuries, if you had to pick any pitcher the Padres have, is Game 5 against the Dodgers or a must-win game.
Healthy?
If Joe Musgrove's healthy, I feel like you would have the most faith and feel like you went down on your shield with Joe Musgrove, even over Nick Pivetta and even over Michael King.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't necessarily make sense, this analogy, but it just popped in my head and I'll make it. It's like a Guica Rope on the 2023 national championship team for the Aztecs that played for national championship against AG. It wasn't, against UConn. It's not about his numbers. I have no idea what he averaged in points and rebounds that year. My guess would be like 5 points, 5 rebounds. But there's certain guys that just make a team cohesive, and they're worth their weight in gold. They don't have to score 20 points. They don't have to grab 10 rebounds. They don't have to go 8 scoreless innings. Like Joe Musgrove doesn't have to be Clayton Kershaw in his prime. There's benefits to every player plays a role on a successful team.
It's like Patrick Beverly in the NBA. His stats were always garbage, except everyone wanted him on their team. Because he did the dirty work guys didn't want to do.
And listen, no, Guica Rope's stats were never like garbage, nor Joe Musgrove's.
No, exactly.
They could almost like, if they had better numbers, it's more about almost like selflessness. It's hard as a pitcher. It's not like you're like, well, I'll give up my numbers for the team. Well, no, pitchers want to pitch well. Like every pitcher goes out there expecting to retire the next batter they face. So it's not like, hey, for this team, I'll have a 4.5 ERA. For another team, a bad team, I'd have a 2.5. It's not like that. I'm just saying he is the glue. Like, he's been here for a long time. Even when he wasn't out there, he is a leader. He's just going to hopefully put the puzzle together for San Diego.
And to what you're saying about the glue, that's a point that, and obviously you look back and everyone could talk about if this and if that, it's sour grapes. But when Joe Musgrove got hurt right before that Dodger series, right before that postseason run a couple years ago, you kind of felt like the wind went out of the Padres' sails a little bit, because you were looking at a four-man rotation that was legit and could have competed seriously with the Dodgers. The season really depends on Joe Musgrove. And again, we've been talking about it for a long time now. It just puts even more pressure on if Buehler hits, if Marquez hits, if Canning, Vasquez, whoever, let's say JP Sears, even though he hasn't looked great in spring training, becomes a guy. AJ Preller looks like a genius. Mm-hmm. But I hope we're not coming back here in a couple months and going, dang, if they would have just signed a Valdez, if they would have, I know they offered Merrill Kelly. That was that report about how he didn't want to come to San Diego because of the taxes, too high, which is kind of crazy. That was a real story. But instead of going and getting a guy, you're like, that guy we're plugging in every 5 days and we feel good about it. Just they're throwing darts at the dartboard. If it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, we're sitting here worried about Joe Musgrove's arm and the amount of innings he's throwing.
Yeah. Like to fully finish off the point. It's like Joe Musgrove's career WAR is under 15. Like, he's not going to go down. I mean, it's not to say this, it's not to be rude about it, because I think Joe Musgrove will be remembered as kind of an all-time Padre, honestly, in this modern era.
Definitely.
He's synonymous with some of the successes they've had this decade. He's got a 3.73 lifetime ERA. You know, he's got a 1.2 whip. He's a good pitcher, but again, he's worth more than his numbers, is the point you and I are both making. By the way, San Diego State in 2023 isn't sniffing a national championship game appearance without a Gucca rope. He averaged 4 points and 3 rebounds. But I'm just telling you, because I watched it with my own two eyes, that the work he did in the 16 minutes he played was the difference between winning and losing. And Joe Musgrove is the difference between being a good team and a really good team, is my point. And it doesn't matter if he makes 31 starts or 28, or if he throws 160 innings or he throws 139 innings or 140 or 120. I'm just telling you, his value is significant. So what he signifies is the possibility that the Padres can be really good again. For me, the fact that he's back on the bump 3 weeks out, I don't care if it's Great Britain. Yeah, I don't care if it's the Pirates. I don't care if it's the Cactus League or if it's the major leagues. Just him being back out there. And you're right, they need to figure out the rest of the rotation. They need Randy Vasquez to be good. They need Nick Pivetta to look like he looked last year. They need to figure out the number 5 spot. But they also need Joe Musgrove healthy. And this is at least a sign that they're on that right path.
And the biggest question that I'm looking for early in the year, and I know people can go, oh, it's only a weekend in the MLB season or a month, whatever. But Craig Stammen, former bullpen arm.
Yep.
That was, in my opinion, the downfall of Mike Schilt last year. It was great. It was the toy of having the bullpen. You had so many guys to go to, whether it was Miller or Suarez or Morrow and Estrada. But it kind of became like a crux at the same time, because it was like every game, it was after the 4th inning, they're getting pulled and it's going to the bullpen, and you felt the taxation on the arms of all those bullpen arms. I hope that Craig Stammen doesn't fall into that trap, because it felt like it was fun at the deadline. The Padres got this lethal bullpen. They want to show it off with a couple pitchers in Michael King and Joe Musgrove coming off injuries. Mm-hmm. It's great to know that you have a bullpen that can save you in games and keep you in it at all times. But I hope that's not the fallback plan for Craig Stammen, is that we're going to go 3 or 4 innings and we're immediately pulling them, because it's going to look great in April and May, but in July and August, when you need these guys healthy, you hope the bullpen is not overtaxed, because you're so worried about hurting these guys and not getting length from your starters.
Good usage of the word taxation, with the Padres taking on Great Britain today.
Hey,
I like that. You mentioned tax multiple times. I think without taxation, we might not even be in this situation.
I'm going to take credit for that, even though I didn't think about it.
We're probably watching Padres cricket if not for taxation.
Yeah, exactly.
In 1776.
We're having tea right now. It's tea time in Britain.
Sammy's going to go throw tea in the bay when he's done.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. But what I would say is that I think the big difference between Mike Schilt and Craig Stammen may be how they use their bullpen. because Craig Stammen could say whatever he wants, but he's been in the shoes of a reliever. And is he actually going to tax, no pun intended, again, the bullpen like Mike Schilt did? Now, to Mike Schilt's credit, it worked. And I almost wonder if it's to the detriment of Craig Stammen. What Mike Schilt did by and large worked. When he led 2-0 on June 10th in some game 2 of a 3-game series against the Twins, he went for it.
And they won a lot of those games.
And they won a lot of those games because they have this excellent bullpen. And that, once again, will be their strength. Will they be as willing to use the primary pieces in their bullpen as they have been over the last 2 years? It's kind of funny to ask that. You're like, well, Craig Stammen will know what strings to pull. He's a former reliever. But will he be more cautious with his bullpen because he's been in the shoes of these relievers? I think will be a fascinating part of it as well.
The positive, we're looking at Craig Stammen as something that could differ from Mike Schilt, is to the point you just brought up. The conversations of Mason Miller talked about a couple weeks ago, talking to bullpen arms. Are you ready to go? Everyone's going to say, yeah,
I'm good to go.
They're trying to stay on the roster. Unless you're Mason Miller, there's a lot of guys who are kind of on the cut line that, depending on how they play, are getting sent up and down, having real conversations about the long-term health of this team. Are you really good to go? Do you need to be playing every other night in June, which is great. And it sells a lot of tickets at the ballpark, and it's great for everyone. We come on here talking about Padres wins, but in the long run, how do the Dodgers win the World Series? And I know you get in the conversation of the Padres don't have this luxury with the depth of the Dodgers. They lost a lot. The Dodgers lost a lot of games in July and August, not playing Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, and a lot of Dodger fans were frustrated with the lack of wins there, but they were kind of playing the long game. I'm curious how the Padres do that with their bullpen.
It's going to be fascinating. And again, one of the pieces that has to kind of sit in its place is Joe Musgrove. It's as simple as that. I mean, 2 years ago, just 19 starts. The year before that, just 17 starts. His last full season was 2022. 2022 is 4 years ago. That's the last time he made 30 starts. That's the last time he threw 100 innings. He went 99 innings in 2024, 97 innings in 2023. And again, I'll further the point. It's not about 180 innings. It's about being available every fifth or sixth day. It's about making the lion's share of 30 starts. It's what he signifies for me, for the Padres in 2026. We will discuss that over the course of the next few hours. Again, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, his thoughts on the return of Joe Musgrove. Kevin's going to join us coming up at 4 p.m. We'll hear from Brian Dutcher post-game as well coming up on the show, what he had to say after the Aztecs' fourth loss in their last 5 games. They go to Boise last night on the Broncos senior night and lose 86-77. And on the other side, we'll discuss what comes next for the Aztecs. Again, losers of 4 of 5, senior night approaching on Friday night, and then the Mountain West tournament just over a week away for San Diego State. We'll discuss that and more right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Listen to this. I need to hit this up. The new Elephant Valley at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park is now open. I mean, think about that. They have a valley of elephants. You can get up close and roam alongside the world's largest land animals. All week, we have chances for you to win a family 4-pack of tickets to see Elephant Valley. The elephants aren't the only ones who'll never forget. Elephant Valley at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. You see
this fur that SGA is rolling up to the garden in?
Yeah, looks like he's wearing a certain animal. I don't know what it is there.
Yeah, walking into speaking of the animal park.
It looks like he's emerging from an Ewok.
Seriously. But Elephant Valley at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. We've got a 4-pack of tickets. We'll give that away coming up. All right, last night in Boise. So obviously I was there. I don't even know how to describe this game truthfully. I really don't, because here's how I look on it. This is my working theory, just the way that, like, humanistically, I don't even know if that's a word. This is how I feel like it played out. Not excusing it. This is how I believe it plays out. That you get so up for a game Saturday at the Pit in Albuquerque, and you come so close to winning, where there's the controversial call, and then there's this play in the backcourt where you nearly come up with the ball, but you foul, and you end up losing this close game with so much on the line. I just think it's almost, what's the word? Like, it's hard to get right back up. Yeah, it's deflating. And it's easy to say, but John, there's so much still on the line. And John, they're playing for net large berth and seeding in the Mountain West tournament. You're right. 100% right. But you're dealing with 20-year-olds. And you put everything into something, and then 2 days later, you travel back to San Diego, you go to Boise, and you're playing someone else on their senior night that you beat in triple overtime earlier in the year, and you just couldn't match what Boise State was able to do last night, in my opinion. You're down 22-5, you get back into it. You're down 21 in the second half, you are in the game. You're at the free throw line down 7 last night with like 5 minutes left. And just at the end of the day, way too many offensive rebounds for a second straight game. Way too many second chance points for a second straight game. And now the Aztecs have lost 4 of 5. Now, can they still get to the tournament? Yeah, they're going to need to do it by winning the Mountain West tournament. Is that easy? Of course it's not going to be easy. I think the most realistic path is build some confidence by winning Friday night. Go beat a good UNLV team that just beat Utah State by like 100 last night. Go beat UNLV at home. Build some confidence. You've got the better part of a week off. And then San Diego State and Vegas has had a lot of success over the years. So you take your chances. But yeah, not the right time to drop 4 out of 5. And that's where San Diego State is right now.
Agreed. And the expectation for this team, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but people expect the NCAA tournament. And we got into it, whether that's fair or not every year. I think it's fair in that it's a positive indictment on the program, and that the program is at a level where you're expecting a certain level of success every year. You're 100% right. You bludgeoned Utah State last week. You come off a heartbreaker on Saturday, a game that you felt like could have gone either way. And heading into last night, you were probably out of the at-large bid conversation. Maybe you still had a shot,
right?
But you would have had to have a lot of things go your way and get a couple big victories. This team is not out of it. Obviously, with the Mountain West Conference tournament next week, that's the beautiful part about college basketball, is you kind of do get a lifeline no matter how your season's gone. And the Aztecs have the talent. It's the little things. Saturday, you lose by 5, you miss 9 free throws. It's the little things on the road. I feel like they outplayed New Mexico, but when you miss 9 free throws on the road, that's a pretty tough disparity to overcome. And last night, at the end of the day, you can't get out rebounded on the road 37-15. And expect to reasonably win.
Not gonna win.
And to the point you just made, the fact that they were even in the game, and this is not me, going glass half full and trying to make excuses. They lost last night and they didn't play very well, but it shows you the talent they have on the floor, that they can go on these runs despite the fact they weren't rebounding. But it just feels like at times this year, whether the first Grand Canyon game, getting down 14, storming back, missing free throws on Saturday, not rebounding yesterday. It's like the talent's there. It's just putting everything together hasn't always been there, and it certainly hasn't been there on the road this year.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I'm sure from a fan perspective, to your point, like the expectations, which are fair, is to get to the NCAA tournament and then win games. With all that being said, like, it's easier said sometimes than done. We went through it the other week. Like, how many teams have made the tournament like 5 or more consecutive years? San Diego State's got like a top 10 streak of the country, having made the tournament for the last 5 years. It's actually more than that if you included the pandemic year. I mean, every Yankee fan wants them to win the World Series every year, but they haven't since 2009. This isn't like what I don't like is when people take it and they just like they almost like dummy it down to be like, well, they're not trying. They've quit.
Right. No.
They don't have heart. I'm like, well, hold on. I mean, you've lost your last 3 road games in Boise on senior night, at the Pit in Albuquerque, a team that's also vying for the NCAA tournament, and at Colorado State, they've now won 7 consecutive games. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, to simplify it all, the separation between like the best team in the Mountain West and the 7th best team in the Mountain West is not significant. I think there's 6 or 7 teams that are all capable of winning the Mountain West tournament. I would put San Diego State in there. I think in the heart of hearts of most Aztec fans, even if you're frustrated and disappointed, you believe that the Aztecs could catch fire over 2 or 3 days in Las Vegas. And you may wish that San Diego State was, had all this separation against the rest of the league. The fact of the matter is they don't. I mean, the Aztecs look like Utah State, who look like New Mexico, who look like Grand Canyon, and down the list you go. So nothing would surprise me in Las Vegas with those 6 or 7 teams. If Boise State won the league, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, that is jaw-droppingly shocking. If San Diego State won the conference tournament, I wouldn't be shocked or surprised by that either, or anything in between.
San Diego State, it's hard to kind of handicap them for next week because I could easily see them winning 3 straight games, and we know that they've struggled against the top tier teams, your Michigans, your Arizonas. Baylor's not really a top tier team, but they've struggled against the big powerhouse teams, and they've overall at home played very well against elite teams in the Mountain West Conference, as evidenced by the Utah State game. Obviously, they're not playing at Viejas. Now, Aztec fans travel very well to Vegas, kind of considered a home court for them, so we'll see how that goes. I can see them winning 3 straight games. I can also see them losing to a really low seed on the first night. I know that's not a definitive answer. It's hard with this team because you don't know what team shows up. If the team that shows up against Utah State shows up, I think they win the whole tournament next week. If the team that showed up last night or the Colorado State team, it's hard to predict that they're going to string together back-to-back wins over a couple of days.
Yeah, and I don't even know what path you want. Like, I can't even go down that. Like, oh no, they're going to play Boise. Well, oh no, they're going to play UNLV. Oh no, they're going to play Colorado State. There's nothing easy is my point. Right. I think outside of playing like Air Force to open, which by the way, you're not going to play because they're playing in the opening round game, or San Jose State, that they've had a very tough year.
Certainly don't want to play Grand Canyon,
but you don't want to play any of them. It's kind of the point. You know what I mean? It's like, I can already hear what people are going to say. I can already see it. Like, oh, they got this team. Well, all of the teams are tough. There's nothing that they could possibly draw, I guess, unless there's an opening round upset, and like all of a sudden Air Force upsets someone, San Jose State upsets someone,
and those teams can be hard to play because they have nothing to lose and they're going all out.
They have nothing to lose. So it starts Friday night, senior night. I still think the senior class should absolutely be celebrated. Reese Dixon-Waters is one of the most decorated players in the history of the program. Guy's been awesome. Scored 23 yesterday, was part of a Sweet 16 team his first year, came back, didn't need to off a foot injury. He could be playing professionally right now. He could be playing at Arkansas right now. I mean, he could have taken the check, could have taken the money. He came back because I think he appreciates the successes he's had here, and he wants to finish off what he's started. And we'll see if he can do that on his senior night on Friday night. All right, we do have that 4-pack of tickets to give away to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. We'll do that coming up. We've got tickets to give away to the BNP Paribas Open coming up as well. But on the other side, is Fernando Tatis Jr. still one of the best players in baseball? ESPN has weighed in. That's next on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by eBay. In college football news, coaching legend Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Lou Holtz led the Fighting Irish to a national championship in 1988 and, of course, had all that time with ESPN as an analyst. In NFL news, the Patriots are set to release wide receiver Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from $10.5 to $26.5 million if he was still on the roster by next week. Then he would also have had an additional $6 million of his contract guaranteed. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade sending All-Pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, it's the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show. John and the head coach will sit down and preview Friday's senior night game against UNLV. That is tomorrow night at 6. Imagine what you can find on eBay, like a rare hologram trading card that you've become totally obsessed with, shiny like the designer handbag of your dreams. eBay will have it. They even have the perfect parts that will fit your car. Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay.
All right. It might be is our internet struggling right now? John Schaefer, Sammy Long. I'm telling you, man, there's always something. Okay, maybe we're back.
I think we're back.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Back. There was a momentary issue with the internet, believe it or not. By the way, what did we do? You never had life pre-internet. Basically.
Yeah, no, but like I in a weird way, like I had a flip phone, if that makes sense. I know it's in the internet. I'm gonna get clowned, but like I didn't always have an iPhone.
No, of course. No, I get that. And obviously as a kid, we weren't handing all of our kids phones immediately.
A flip phone is basically not having internet.
I would agree with that. In today's world. But like me and Brent grew up in this era, A, where there wasn't internet, and then B, when we had it, it was the worst thing ever. You would go on these modems. I'm talking like Hartman now, and it would make that weird sound, and then like
tie up the phone line.
Prodigy, it was like $24.99 a month. It was an absolute ripoff, and you would like download a document, and it would take like 9 minutes, maybe 19.
It'd take like 20 minutes to download a 3-minute.
I'm like,
song.
but we thought it was amazing. It was like for me, what was incredible about it was like I can get like sports scores whenever I want it. I'm like, that is absurd. Like, I want to know what's going on, like in the NEC quarterfinals in college basketball, or like in the MAC in college football. Like every sports story imaginable was at your fingertips. It just took like 35 minutes.
You know what has always shocked me is like how if you make plans with someone or group of people, you're always like, oh, we're meeting here, texting back and forth. Sure. Okay, we got. In the days before phones and the internet, like you just had to assume that person was going to be there. If you met up, like that is always fascinating to me. Like if you decided like, yeah, I'm not going tonight, you just leave. So
like, no,
you can't be like, oh,
well, it's hey, like AOL Instant Messenger, right? AIM. Do you remember AIM?
Okay, yeah.
This is again before your time, not before Brent's time. Here's the thing though, you would like you would set your like away message on your physical computer, but it would be like at the gym, but people would leave it up for like going out for the night, but you wouldn't be able to change it because you didn't have like a phone. So it would just be like on your actual like desktop computer. It was a very different world. It was I don't even know what I'm talking. Oh, here's my point. We're so accustomed to everything right now being at our fingertips to the point where, I mean, we ask a question and we get the AI summary. Oh, yeah. I'm getting AI summaries of 1 paragraph long emails now from Gmail. Are you getting that?
Yes.
It's like, Mary would like to know if you're available for a meeting on Wednesday at 10:30. I'm like, yeah, I know.
The new iPhone does it for text. If you text someone, they summarize the group of texts that you sent. It's like, John Schaefer would like to know if you'd like to join today.
The conversation is centered around San Diego State and their at-large chances. I'm like, I know, I can read. It's just
it's about time though, because remember like 4 years ago when like The Rock did that stupid iPhone commercial and like it made it look like it was so futuristic to where he'd just ask it something and then it just have the answer right away.
Yeah.
And everyone that has an iPhone knows in real life it's not like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, even like on the NFL, like, oh, tell me NFL scores. And it's just like, yeah, if I do that, she'll go, what league or something like that.
Yeah, like
what St. Louis.
I hate that. When I'm like, hey, what's the Texas basketball score? They're like, women's or men's? I'm like, come on, like read the room, like they're playing on TV.
Yeah.
You know, it's like number 9 versus number 11. Like just figure it out. Here's the one
They
other
will
point I need to make.
want me to unlock the phone before it gives me an answer.
Right. I'm like, guys, I want the Texas score. I'm not like breaking into, Fort Knox. But here's the one other thing that was the most annoying thing in the world. T9 word. Have you ever heard of that?
What is that?
That's amazing.
What is T9 word?
Brent. T9 word. When you had the pad and you had to hit it 3 times for it to go to ABC.
Oh, I didn't know that's what that was called.
Oh, okay.
That was the worst thing. To text would take a decade.
Okay.
It's like, Ben, do you want to hang out? We're getting pizza.
Do you
And it was like
it
would take longer than just like actually like just calling him and figuring it out.
I wish we could experience a day of no internet. I'm jealous of that. Like it would
Could
be
we even do it, honestly? Like how hard would that be for someone like you or I that's been so, I mean, we're constantly connected, sports stories, the job.
This time you have to be on social media a lot.
If I took like a day off, I'd be like, wait, what happened today? There's so much that occurs.
It is amazing if you go somewhere like dinner and don't bring your phone.
Oh, and then it's amazing what has happened, right?
Everything happens, and then you find yourself reaching for your phone.
Yeah.
It's
not a
bad.
good thing. It's not good.
It's not good at all.
But it's like, you go out to dinner, you put your phone down for 3 hours, and Luka ends up in the Lakers.
Exactly.
It used to happen before. It's not like trades didn't happen in 1990.
Yeah, it's like, what did I miss? I haven't been on my phone for 45 minutes.
But it is a very weird phenomenon.
Look how they've corrupted us.
I know. So anyway, today on the internet, there was an article at ESPN.com about the top 100 players in baseball. This actually shocked me. Where Fernando Tatis Jr. was ranked. Brent had a different take on just where the Padres are because Manny Machado is now behind Jackson Merrill in this top 100 list. But Fernando Tatis Jr. is listed on the ESPN top 100 right now as the 14th best player, not position player, 14th best player in the sport. I'll be honest with you, he's got to prove that to me. Like, this guy wasn't the 14th best player in the National League last year. You could scroll on OPS right now. You go Google Fernando Tatis Jr., go to ESPN stats, click on OPS. Dude's like in the 50s. You're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So is his potential to be the 14th best player in the sport? You better damn well believe it is. I mean, sign him to a $340 million deal. But I don't think this guy's been the 14th best player in the sport the last 3 years.
I think people, I agree with you. I think people confuse star power and production. Like Fernando Tatis, from a marketability standpoint and a potential superstar face of Major League Baseball, it could easily make an argument as top 5. Right. Fernando, he's got swag. He's fun. He makes highlight reel catches in the outfield when he connects and he goes on heaters. It is something to watch. Like the first month of the season last year, Fernando Tatis was must-watch television.
Yep.
Then there's the other side. Then there's the middle of the season where he looks lost and like he can't hit a baseball. There's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. So I'm with you. I think he has to earn that spot. I wouldn't put him at 14 right now. He certainly can be, and hopefully he does get back to that. But again, I think star power and production are two very different things that some people get confused with at times.
Right. So Tatis is 14th. And again, I mean, I hope he is. I really do. And I think for him to be the 14th best player in the sport, he's got to not just have a better year, he's got to have a much better year. Here are the other Padres on the list. And it's, 4 of the top 60 is impressive. There's 30 teams. You have 4 of the top 60. On average, you would have 2 of the top 60 with 30 teams. You've got Tatis at 14th. You have Jackson Merrill coming off an injury-riddled, kind of average year. It was not a bad year, but it wasn't a great year. 43rd best player in the sport, according to ESPN, again, including pitchers. Then you've got Manny Machado behind Merrill at 47th. I think that's low on Machado, truthfully. And then you've got the top reliever off the board, Mason Miller, but he checks in at 60th overall. So Tatis, Merrill, Machado, and Miller among the top 60 players in the sport. I buy that. I just don't know if I buy the exact order. Tatis, Merrill, Machado, Miller. I'd probably go like Tatis, Machado, Merrill, Miller. I'd probably put Machado in front of Merrill right now.
Right. This list feels more like, I know it's not, but it feels like who you would want to start your team with. Like obviously if you were starting a baseball franchise, Tatis and then Merrill because of their age,
yep,
you would go with. Miller makes sense that he's 60. You feel like he's way more talented than that. It's just as a closer, you're not impacting a game as much as a star hitter is. But yeah, that is it feels like Tatis and Merrill are there based on their projections of what maybe they think is going to happen this year. And if that's the case, that's good news for everyone in San Diego. But yeah, I don't know if either guy has certainly earned that part in the standings yet.
I think if Mason Miller has a season like he had the series against the Cubs,
oh yeah,
where it's just every night it's going to be one of the only highlights they show on Sports Center because they don't show highlights of stuff anymore.
Right.
That I think next year's list he'll skyrocket up from where he was this year because he's going to start to become a big name and he's going to be known as a flamethrower on the mound and everything like that. Because how many other guys can throw 106 and 107 and stuff like that? So he'll be marketable for the league.
And with the WBC, to Brent, your point, I mean, you talk about star making power. He's one of the featured guys outside, your Judges, your Harpers, your usual suspects. But Miller is kind of the hot new prospect to the team that people are excited about, which could really, make him even more of a star than he is.
Him coming in at 60 is the danger of trading for a relief pitcher. As in the value, the analytical value doesn't support trading away maybe your top position player. But in the Padres, I get it from the Padres perspective because their strength is their bullpen. And they want to hold every single lead they get. And they're kind of yinging where other teams are yanging, if that makes sense. It's like, we're not going to win with power necessarily. I think they are capable, Machado, Tatis, Merrill, in that conversation. Like they're capable of being better in that area. But they're not capable of being good with their bullpen. They just have a good bullpen. So I think they've put more stock in the back of their bullpen than modern baseball typically does.
It feels like if you're equating to the NFL, a closer is like a running back. It's everyone wants them and they're stars and they win a lot of games, but the value with the running back, people go, even though they're a star, are you sure you can't find a guy on a day 3 in the NFL draft versus using a top 10 draft pick when it feels like guys down the board become star running backs left and right? It feels like that's what a closer is in today's baseball.
Did they put Ohtani on this list? I'm kidding. He checks in.
I'm surprised they didn't put him on there multiple times.
Yeah, exactly.
Once as a pitcher and once as a DH.
First, pitching first. Shohei Ohtani, believe it or not, does top the list of best 100 players in the sport. All right, if you missed what Brian Dutcher had to say post-game with me from Boise last night, you'll hear that coming up at 3 p.m. We've got great giveaways today. A 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, plus a pair of tickets to the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells. And Kevin Acee will join us live coming up at 4 p.m. This is San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. If you missed Brian Dutcher post game, this was. Hold on, I'm figuring out our stream. I'm telling you, we're having. I've had some Wi-Fi issues, guys. I just want to let you know. Okay.
Now we're good. Now we're back.
Now we're back.
All right, so you'll hear from Dutch coming up at 3 p.m.
The other story I wanted to mention about Fernando Tatis Jr., I lost my train of thought as I've done like 100 times today. And we've got these giveaways. Safari Park, we'll give those a 4-pack of tickets away to the Safari Pack. We've got a pair of tickets to the BNP Paribas Open. We'll give away the Safari Park tickets coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. Here's the thing with Tatis. So last night, he returns to the Dominican, right? And they're playing these exhibition games leading up to the WBC. And the Padres, there's been all this discussion. You're right.
Yeah.
There's been all this discussion about moving Tatis down in the lineup with the Padres. Greg Stamens talked about this, saying that maybe Tatis would even prefer it. Well, they insert him at the top of the lineup last night against, I don't even know who they played. And he looks like the second coming of Fernando Tatis Jr., right? 3 hits, standing ovation when he leaves the game. His team scoring runs at ease. Now they've got this ridiculous lineup as well. But like, does it kind of change your thinking when, hold on, Tatis has hit leadoff a lot in the major leagues. He's been a very good leadoff hitter. And now you're gonna move him, but now he's playing for his country and he's batting leadoff and he's having success. Are we sure that it makes sense to move Fernando Tatis Jr. down in the lineup?
I think it just is, what do you subscribe to? Do you subscribe to the old way of thinking of that you want your power hitters and your best hitter in the,
Right.
in the 3-hole where you want guys on? But this new way of thinking, and the Dodgers do the same thing. I mean, Ohtani, it was always thought he was the second behind Mookie Betts, and Dave Roberts openly talked about it. He's like, I want Ohtani coming up as much as possible. So if you subscribe to that narrative, Tatis is, like the list says, and like we all know, the best player on the team. You're hoping to be the best player on the team. Then him batting leadoff makes a lot of sense. It is an interesting situation because I kind of think I would bat him leadoff with a rise gone. You don't, theoretically that was supposed to work, and then you just get someone on all the time. And he never really came up in with runners in scoring position a lot. Luis Arraez didn't come through in that regard. But it's like, who are you going to bat in front of him? I mean, Jackson Merrill, Xander Bogaerts, and we know Xander Bogaerts struggles. So are you sure you want to start the game off with a guy who the last couple seasons has been slumping mightily? It just feels like that's probably the safest option at Tatis at the number 1 spot.
Yeah, it's an important question to answer. It's not like the lineup is the end all be all. I'd rather have a player perform better than be perfectly optimized in the lineup and not perform well. You know what I mean? Like, but then again, it's chicken egg. Like, does a player play better because where they hit in the lineup? And you could easily argue yes to that. For me, the issue with Tatis last year was A, he lacked power, but B, this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. He came to the plate with nobody on base more than anyone on the team. Why? Well, he let off games with nobody on. Plus, he batted behind 7-8-9. Their 7-8-9 was a black hole last year. So now is your lineup improved? Maybe. And there you could argue keeping him as a leadoff hitter and hoping you get more production out of the bottom of your order. He bats more with men on base. Or you could force the issue and hit him fourth, quote unquote, protect Manny Machado, get him in more desirable situations with men on base and see if he produces and hits for more power, because you're asked to hit for more power when you're batting third or fourth in a lineup. But that to me is an interesting question. And here's one thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't just bounce him around. Guy's 27. He's been here for forever. Slot him in. Let him know where he's hitting. He shouldn't have to go check the lineup card when he walks in the clubhouse. He should know where he hits. Yeah, there can be an exception. But by and large, if he's going to play 155 games, slot him in the same spot 145 times. I just think it's better for him, and it's probably better for the team. So whether it's first or fourth, I wouldn't, yo-yo it back and forth, so to speak, just because.
There was too much of that last year. It felt like up and down the lineup, it was constantly shuffling, and then the influx of talent that happened at the trade deadline for me and Laureano, O'Hearn at the time. So you do hope that Ramon Laureano is a guy that's kind of been not talked about enough. You feel like was really good at the Padres down the stretch there. Could he kind of give you some juice in that 6, 7, 8, 9 wherever he's going to bat? Yeah, it really comes down to, we talk about Tatis, but And I'm not putting the season on these guys because, again, it comes down to the guys on the marquee, your Machados, your Merrills, and your Tatis. But can Fermin give you something? Can Castellanos give you something? Can Laureano? Because that was a thing. Like, even if you go back years against the Dodgers when they lost in 5 games, it was like, do we remember how bad 7, 8, 9? And then Arise, because his hand was hurt at the time. That was kind of an underrated part of that series. So Machado and Tatis, there was just no help coming from anywhere else. So we'll know early if these guys can get going. But I think I'm with you. Like, Fernando Tatis should not be checking the lineup card. He's especially for how much of a momentum player he is, and how when he's in rhythm, there's no one like him, and when he's out of rhythm, there's also not a lot of people like him, and he can be pretty wild. I think consistency there is certainly the way to go.
You know what I find interesting? I watched Tatis play for the Dominican, and I see the reaction. I mean, the crowd's unbelievable, and the passion, right, for playing for their country, whether it's Tatis, Machado, Julio Rodriguez, whoever it is, right, Juan Soto. And I've seen some of these Instagram posts where Tatis he's dancing in the clubhouse. He's like dancing in the weight room. He's so comfortable in these situations where I hope he is here too. Like whatever gets the best out of him playing for Team Dominican Republic, I hope the Padres can get that same thing out of him playing in the Major League. Not to say we haven't seen it, because of course we have. Tatis is known as one of the more flamboyant players maybe in modern baseball history, truthfully. But I think we've seen less of it the last 3 years, and again, it coincides with the lack of success compared to his first 3 years. But all of a sudden, he's in the Dominican. He's dancing. He's smiling. He's having fun. He's producing. And I've said this a lot this offseason. My worst fear is someone completely rakes in the WBC and then isn't that player in the regular season.
It does feel like with Tatis and the team as a whole, when they're winning, the vibes are really high. I know that's with a lot of teams, but they seem to get higher than a lot of teams. And when it's not going well, it seems to get pretty dark. Like you can just see it from outfield perspective. There's a lot, been a lot made of, is Tatis the leader on this team? Who is the leader on this team? Is it the best player? You feel like going back to the top of the show, you talk about Joe Musgrove. There's a lot more than just pitch. You feel like Joe Musgrove is just a leader, a guy that you never really hear anyone talk bad about on the team because he's just so well respected. It is funny when he's on, he's on. When he's off, and it will be interesting to see if guys play well in the WBC and don't play well to start the season, what kind of criticism comes in that.
I'll lose my mind. All right, coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we're giving away 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, and then later in the show, we've got a pair of tickets to the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells, which is underway. Kevin Acee will join us live coming up at 4 p.m. on the other side with Brian Dutcher to say, following the Aztecs' loss last night to Boise State on the road in Idaho. We'll hear from Dutch coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Oh, nice. We're going to go get something. Oh, yeah. I am so tired. I woke up at 5 a.m. to fly back here. Yada, yada, yada. That is crazy. Yeah, so something like that. Beginning at 2:44 p.m. and ending at 4:44 p.m. This is the required monthly test. This is the required monthly test to the emergency alert system. Liquid Death Sparkling Energy, the better for you. Easy drinking energy drink. Available at 7-Eleven. 0 sugar, just 5 calories. Plus 2 vitamins. First. That's right.
So, you gonna get the show? Probably not. It's funny. I've been I was watching TV at night and then Sam will play games and then I end up fucking. But yeah, it's the opposite. I'll tell myself I'm gonna watch a movie and then I'll just end up doing something playing video games instead. Yeah. Watch anything. Yeah. No, I was playing the one that they gave us for free a couple years ago. So it would have been last year, but 2 years ago. And I got a corrupted file. I think I was in the NLCS, something like that. So I had to start over. So I'm kind of just you play every game? Yeah. I don't sim anything in any game. Yeah, good for you. Well, because I used to when I was a kid, but then what would happen is every time I would sim a game, my star player would get hurt or something would happen. So I just never sim games anymore because I just assume if I sim a game, somebody's going to get hurt. So every single one.
I love Madden franchise. Those are my shit.
Oh yeah, I when I was in college in like 2003 or 44. But I'll probably stop playing that when baseball comes out next week.
Yeah.
Baseball until August when football starts again.
What's this mean? Normal heights _MF. Jim is tired, folks. What does that mean? And then corrupted files are no joke. Huh?
Are they hearing us talk?
Oh, I'm muted.
This report is sponsored by the Brooke and Jeffrey Second Date podcast. In college football news, Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to a national title in 1988, and of course was part of ESPN's college football coverage for years. In NFL news, the Patriots are going to release Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from 10.5 to 26.5 million if he was still on the roster by the end of next week. And he would have also had an additional 6 million of his contract guaranteed if he was still on the roster. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade to send all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And tomorrow night, we have the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 o'clock. John and the Aztec head coach will sit down and preview Friday's senior night game against UNLV and more. Your date left, the food was great, and then nothing. Ghosted, vanished. Witness protection, perhaps? Brooke and Jeffrey call them and get answers you may not want to hear. Listen to Brooke and Jeffrey's Second Date update on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, San Diego Sports 760. Here's the we've been spending a lot of time talking about the internet like it's a new thing or something. World Wide Web or whatever.
People have heard of it.
What's the Al Gore? What do you call it? Like, what was the big saying? Was it world? Didn't Al Gore have like a famous line about the internet?
Yeah, he claimed he invented it.
Yeah, okay, that was it. But like, you know how people used to talk about the internet? Remember like the Today Show in like the 1990s? And it was like just like ridiculous conversations.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well,
yeah, I remember that kid from the AOL video. Remember the thumbs up kid that became a meme?
Ridiculous. Or like the MySpace dude, Tom,
everyone's friend.
But here's the thing. It's like I'm going to tell people something they don't realize. the internet is a dangerous place. And here's the reason I say it. It's like I'm the first person to say that. You know?
Breaking news.
Like, hey, listen, and don't believe everything you see there. But we're doing a YouTube stream. And I always said this to Jim, because Jim is such an idiot. And the second you go off air, Jim's just talking about anything, right? And I'm always looking at like the mics in here. I'm like, dude.
Fletch is the same way. It drives me crazy.
Like, you got to be very cautious. We have FCC guidelines. You never know if a mic is on. I fill out these things for iHeart saying we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and I try to abide by them. Jim was the opposite. So anyway, on YouTube, the only microphone that you can hear, the way you can hear us on YouTube is Brent, I don't know, puts the sound up through, I can't even describe it, but Brent's computer controls the sound. So you can't hear me and Sammy unless we're on the air, unless the microphones are turned on. Unless me or Sammy forget to mute our microphones on our laptops. And if our laptop microphones are not muted, you can hear everything that's coming out of our mouths through our laptop computers. And you guys were just talking about like MLB The Show for the last
yeah,
8 minutes.
Brent was like, are you getting the game?
And we had the mic unmuted on the laptop. So thankfully our listeners let us know, like, hey, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
let us know. Are you guys getting MLB The Show next week?
Yeah, seriously. Normal Heights, everyone let us know. Kaylee, all these people. I had a moment of panic. I was like, what did I say at the break? I couldn't even remember it, but we avoided catastrophe,
Well,
Brent and I.
It's funny because people have always been like, oh, you should just, let it go during the commercial breaks. We want to see what you do. Like,
No,
you do
you
something
don't
super
want that.
exciting.
Yeah,
It's just like,
no.
that's what you're missing. 5-minute discussions about video games.
According to AI, Al Gore popularized the term information superhighway. That's a
Okay.
decent term for the 90s. Like, that's a good summary of what was going on.
It still works.
A lot happening
Yeah.
on the internet. Information superhighway.
Well, okay, the first time you guys heard about the internet, what was your reaction?
I remember, here's what happened. Me and my best friend growing up that lived across the street from me, I had like two best friends, but like my like next door neighbor best friend that was a year younger than me. This is how I remember it. I don't know if this is accurate. I remember me and him, Brett, went to a Barnes & Noble and he bought a book and the back of the book had a CD. It was like, this is the internet. We're like, what? What does that even mean? And we took the CD or whatever it was, it might have even been like a CD-ROM. I don't even know, like a disc.
CD-ROM, yeah.
And we put it in the computer and it had like AOL on it or Prodigy or the internet. And that's how like we came. And then I remember thinking like the next day or two, like, this is kind of like wild. like they may have unlocked something pretty real here.
AOL would just send you free.
Oh, they would
discs in the
constantly send you
mail.
discs so you
Like
would activate
every
it.
week.
But
you
here's
would
the other
get
thing
one.
I need to share. And I know we're off. I know we're way off tangents here.
We
I woke
got
up at
time.
5 a.m. in Boise. Okay. So
5 a.m. in Boise could be a movie.
we have time. It wouldn't be a good one though. But here's the other thing. I get to college, dude. I'm in college in 98. So I'm 45. So this is way back in the day. And here's at Penn State in 1998 in the freshman dorms. This was the most incredible. Like, it was high-speed internet before high-speed internet. And there was no such thing at that point as like firewalls. So the entire 7th-floor dorm room in East Halls, I had access to everyone's computer.
Really?
And you could, this was Napster, LimeWire days, maybe Napster. You could take every audio file from anyone, basically out of hundreds and hundreds of people. It might have been beyond the actual building. It might have been the entirety of like Penn State. And the internet was blazing by 19. Like, I was used to the modem that took like 19 minutes to load like a picture. All of a sudden, you're downloading songs in like seconds. It was like,
so you could see what
truly
everyone
like-
else was looking
and
at.
you could see everything.
That
It was
a
ridiculous.
college dorm search history. Wow, that could have been
Dude,
some.
It was not smart. Whatever was playing out was not well thought out.
Well, I just had someone on the text line brought up Napster and Lars from Metallica. And it was just like, I was Lars's nightmare, especially on LimeWire. I came up with the idea that I was going to download every song that I even remotely liked a little bit. So if at any time I decided I want to listen to that Billy Joel song, I would have it. So I would sit up all night just downloading songs until I had like pretty much what now amounts to like your Spotify or your iHeart
right.
playlist.
Let's go pick a song.
But-
It was incredible.
Yeah, you would just sit there for hours and just get CDs and then just burn CDs and burn CDs and burn CDs.
And then all of a sudden, the music community was like, well, hold on. And I'm like, what do you mean, hold on? Like, this
Yeah,
should
this
be
is
free,
great.
right? It was completely a different world. Anyway, no good segue from that. But I did catch up with Brian Dutcher post-game last night. The Aztecs go to Boise, and they end up losing by 9 on senior night for the Broncos. It was an important game for San Diego State, and they have been here recently. The amazing thing about last night, before we get to Dutch, is little did we know Utah State would lose to UNLV later in the evening, which means San Diego State was once again in a position where with a win, they would have essentially controlled their own destiny. I think this is right, to potentially get at least a share of a Mountain West title. But they come up empty. The whole story was rebounding and second chance points. So this goes right to Dutch, right, Brent? I just started the conversation asking about the challenges of trying to win, getting out rebounded like that, and winning in Boise, which has been tough for the Aztecs over the years.
Well, John, you sat through practice and the walkthrough. We told them the number one key to the game was rebounding. When you get out rebounded 37-15, your chances of winning are pretty diminished. So it was rebounding, and we've given up back-to-back games where we've let teams score in the 80s. 86 here, I think 81 against New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So we're not getting stops, and when we do get stops, we're not getting the rebound. So I liked our fight. I mean, we got down 20, we fought back to 7 or whatever it was, and we didn't give in. Thought we played better offensively the second half. We got some rhythm to what we were doing. But I told them, you got to believe. So there's no they got to believe that they're going to win the next game, and they're going to win 3 in Vegas. That's the only way they can go into the next week. So we can't be obsessed with losing. We have to learn from losing. Can't make excuses. But, again, the center position hurt us 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that against both New Mexico at the pit, and then again here tonight against Boise State and Drew Fielder. I'm not sure what's going on right now over the intercom.
Yeah, it's very loud. But
it's very loud.
No. Sometimes you like at the center position scores a lot of points. You want to blame the center defensively,
right?
But at some level, we were switching ball screens, so sometimes we had a guard on him. We didn't double until late in the game, but Fielder got in a rhythm. He played great. So credit to Boise. This is a hard league. I keep saying the parity in this league is crazy right now. You look at Boise and how much different are they than anybody else,
right?
Than Utah State at the top, or Wyoming, or Fresno. These teams are good this year. And so, unfortunately, we've fallen on some tough scheduling. I knew this was going to – everyone looked at the schedule before the season, said this is going to be the stretch. At Colorado State, at Boise, at New Mexico to end the year, 3 out of 5. And the one that kills us is letting the home loss slip away against Grand Canyon.
Yeah, no doubt.
Losing a home game is always doubly bad. And so we were unable to make it up on the road. And that's what we had to do.
What changes, Dutch, when you find yourself in a hole? You had 2 comebacks this game because you trailed by 17 in the first half. It was 22-5, and then you went on a 12-0 run. Then you trailed by 21 in the second half and pulled to within 7. You were at the free throw line. I think Tay Simmons missed a second. Then they had a second chance opportunity. How challenging is it when you're in those spots when you're trailing early like that and just playing uphill basically all night long?
Yeah, well, I like to fight in the team, John, because you get down 20 on the road. Some teams are going to lose by 30.
Yeah.
We didn't give in. We fought to the very end. We pressed. We fought hard. And to start the game, they were hotter than blazes. I mean, they were making contested corner threes. So they were making hard shots to start. And then they got a rhythm, and they started, hurting us in every which way. Our defense has kind of betrayed us the last couple of games. So we know what it is. We know the answers. Whether we can answer them or not, that remains to be the question.
And you have a quick turnaround with UNLV on Friday night. When you look at a game like tonight, how about, again, in defeat, Reese Dixon-Waters doing everything he possibly can. He scores 23 points. Or Tay Simmons really hanging in there late. He eventually fouls out. He scores 12 points. He ends up grabbing a handful of rebounds as well. What can you say about both Reese with his performance and then Tay Simmons, the minutes he gave you once again?
Yeah, I mean, Tay came in. He played hard. I thought he got tired, but he got to the foul line 7 times. He made 6, 3 for 5 from the field. We shoot 53% the second half, almost 50 for the game, but they shoot 59 the second half, 62% from 3, and 52 for the game. So if we're playing Aztec defense, that can't happen. So I thought offensively we only had 7 turnovers, which is really good. Forced 17, but it wasn't there tonight, John. I mean, 2 games in a row. Obviously, New Mexico was very close and went down to a out of bounds call that hopefully we could have gotten, maybe had a chance to win the game. That didn't happen. And then we came in here and played a Boise team that's won 3 in a row, now 4, that's playing really good basketball.
You touched on this briefly, but when you're in the locker room with your team and you know it's a challenging stretch, that happens in conference play, what is the messaging? Knowing that, again, it's kind of a clean slate come Friday night. Regardless of what you do Friday night, there's another opportunity that awaits next week. But what do you tell the team from a mental and confidence standpoint moving forward?
I just put on the board before the game, they got to believe. They got to believe they can win tonight. And I said, belief is always questioned. Whether it's religious beliefs, relationship beliefs, belief in yourself, there's always questions that come along. But at the end of the day, you have to believe. And we have to believe that we're going to come back and beat UNLV on Friday night. If we don't believe it, it'll never happen. So as much as we don't like losing, the belief has to stay that we're going to find a way to win.
Boise in general, I mean, I go back to the first game. That was a classic game, obviously, at Viejas Arena. What is it about a team like this with their size, their rebounding ability, their ability to shoot the three as well? What's the biggest challenge facing a team like Boise State?
Well, they shot the three great tonight.
They did.
So they made 12 threes, but they take a lot of threes. They did at the conference tournament a year ago against us. They did the first game. So they shoot a lot of threes, and so they're long rebounds. We didn't secure enough of them. I mean, come on, John, 37-15. I don't know last time I've seen a rebound difference like that. We had 2 offensive rebounds, and one was a dead ball team rebound.
That's right.
Tay had 1 offensive rebound. So, we've known rebounding has been an Achilles heel. And so you got to teach it or you got to recruit it. So we have to teach them to be better, and I have to go out and find a rebounder.
Touch, appreciate you taking time for us. We will see you senior night at Viejas Arena. Again, an important game for San Diego State. Final regular season home game of the year coming up on Friday, and a big one heading into the Mountain West Conference Tournament. But always appreciate you taking time for us, Dutch.
Thanks, John.
All right, that was Brian Toucher post-game. We can react to that as well on the other side. Again, the rebounding numbers have been – it's done them in at both New Mexico and Boise State. We'll see if they can rebound from these losses coming up on Friday against UNLV. On the other side, we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. We'll get to Tim on the other side. He has some insider info on how the Dodgers are hitting so well over the last few years.
No.
Yeah, how about that? How have the Dodgers been able to win the last 2 World Series? Tim on line 1 has the answers for us. Coming up on the other side, this is San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, you just heard from Brian Dutcher. We do have the Brian Dutcher Show tomorrow at 6, getting ready for senior night and the upcoming Mount West tournament next week in Las Vegas. So we'll get you ready tomorrow at 6, the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away a 4-pack of tickets in just a few minutes to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. But if you're wondering how the Dodgers have done this all decade long, beating teams at will, winning 3 World Series, look at the numbers for guys like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman. Tim on line 1 apparently has the reasoning for all of this success that the Dodgers are enjoying at the plate. Tim, thanks for hopping on. What do you have for us that is not publicly disclosed about the Dodgers?
Why not? No, yeah. Well, I have a friend who knows somebody.
Okay.
And what Dodgers are doing, what we're not doing is we're getting close to the 90 games. We're going to get our 90 games or plus minus. But we hit a combined 162 last year, the playoffs. I think the year before we hit like 192. Okay. We are coming to the plate complacent. What Dodgers are doing is they're seeing not only a psychologist, they're seeing a psychiatrist and a hypnotist. They're coming to the plate spewing venom. They're coming to the plate pissed off, chip on their shoulder, and we're not. We're coming complacent. And if you notice, we're a very emotional team. When Manny got into it last year with somebody, if you notice, we went off for like 13 runs after that. We play on emotion, but we need to start talking and win. But we need if we're seeing a psychologist, it's not the right one.
Well, Tim, first of all, thank you for the call and your listenership. Let me say this though. I've been on the air to some extent on 760 or 1360 for 8.5 years. That is right up there with the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I mean, I'm just that is ridiculous. The Dodgers are coming up there with venom coming out of their mouths, literally. Yeah. So are they hypnotized at the plate?
Well, what does that mean? So the Dodgers are hypnotized, or they're hypnotizing other people?
No, they're using a hypnotist and a psychologist and a psychiatrist. How do they have time to even hit in the cage?
Then why don't the Marlins just use a hypnotist and trick them into thinking they're an actual ball club?
I think Tim is calling back. See, I'm very curious. Brad, please pick this up. I am very curious. And by the way, the Padres hitting 152 last postseason, which again is not good, was 3 games.
Right. It's
what I mean? Like, what are we talking about?
I mean, it could just be that the Dodgers are more skilled than a lot of teams. You know what I mean? That could be a
Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez. Brent you could put it back on. You want to put it back on?
I mean, he's got the secrets.
I mean, it's because the Dodgers are like hungry. That's always so bogus. It's like when you go 0 for 4 at the plate. Here's an example in baseball that people often make the mistake of making. Team gets shut out 4-0. Like, team didn't show up. Yes, I did. The pitcher was better than the hitters.
You're going to lose sometimes in professional sports. Just because you try hard does not mean that you're going to win.
I mean, right. I could have the most preparation ever for a show. It doesn't mean the show's going to be good. Everyone understands there are good days and bad days. There's days you feel good when you wake up. There's days you don't. Like, it's just inherent. It happens in real life. It happens in sports.
Brent's having a full-on conversation with Tim in the control room.
I know. I'm happy to entertain it again with Tim, but I mean, I need to be honest with our listeners. I don't think the hypnotist is the reason why the Dodgers are hitting. But okay, bring Tim back on.
Trained to come to the plate so pissed off.
Say that again.
How are they trained to come to the plate pissed off, chip on their shoulder, breathing venom?
Well, but hear me out, Tim, for 1 second. Hear me out. We'll leave you on the air for a second. Hear me out. Why is it when the Padres do show emotion, that rubs so many people the wrong way? I'll give you an example, Tim. They went up 2-1 against the Dodgers 2 postseasons ago. Profar's pretended like he's Superman. Tatis is hitting bombs. Everyone's jacked out of their minds. The emotion is on an all-time high. They got shut out the next 2 days.
Right.
So what changed? They didn't have emotion.
Yeah, what's changing in the game 2 of the playoffs? What's changing game 3? Remember, we went further the year before, but we're not coming to the plate like we're coming to the plate just too melancholy. I mean, I think that was a smart call.
Specific players or everyone on the team?
I'm not saying it's not a smart call. I said it's just, to me, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, are the Padres aren't that? What about this theory, Tim? The Dodgers have better players.
Well, yeah, they do, of course, duh. But
is that the
Padres
answer?
have great players. Why are we hitting so badly in the postseason, though?
I mean, it is a $1 billion question. Leave him here for a second. But we're talking about small sample
we hit
sizes.
62 last year, right?
It's 3 games, Tim.
And all that work, though. We had all that work. How about but the year before we went further and we hit 192. I mean,
and we've talked about it for 2 years on the radio, no doubt. I mean, offensively they have lagged, but to say it's because they're not seeing a hypnotist.
But why aren't we coming up more pissed off?
What does that mean?
Why do they need a hypnotist to be pissed off? Can't they just be pissed off? I don't see a hypnotist or a shrink, and I'm pissed off all the time.
We all need coaches to get emotion. We need someone to get us up on emotion.
I mean, Machado and Tatis, that's the last thing that people often say about the Padres, right? Machado doesn't.
Which might be the first thing we should think about.
I think they play with a lot of emotion. Too much sometimes.
Yeah, and you want a whole bunch of emotion at the plate, so they just get mad and swing at everything and don't actually think about what they're doing.
I don't want to get mad and swing at everything. No, they have to be disciplined, but they need to be pissed off. They can't be melancholy at the plate.
Tim, they play 200 straight days. What are they supposed to do? Be on drugs? I mean, how could you for 200 straight days be pissed off at the plate? You're playing the Twins on June 8th.
Okay, it's not that they have to be so pissed off during the season, but the postseason, they need to be. Dodgers stepping up in the postseason. They're hitting.
Tim, what do you?
There's a new gear.
Tim, Padres.com/careers maybe should be the hitting coach, right? I mean, I don't know, man. I respect the opinion, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm just saying postseason, man, we just fold. And we did all that work during the year.
They weren't a good offense their offense sucked.
Tim, maybe they just choked. Did you ever think of that instead of psychologists and
2 years in a row?
Teams do it all the time.
The Bills have lost to the Chiefs 4 straight times.
I love the Chiefs.
Teams just choke.
Did we make playoffs the year before that? 3 years ago?
No, in 2023 they did not.
Did not. Okay. But anyways,
Guess they weren't angry enough.
Step it up a gear. Yeah, they have great hitters, but they step it up a gear in the post.
Tim, thank you. Seriously,
stepping it up.
We're up against it. We do appreciate your listenership. We can react to that on the other side. All right, let's do it on the other side. We'll give away these Safari Park tickets on the other side. We're reacting to Tim here on San Diego Sports 760. We're live from the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by the White House Briefing Room podcast with Jon Decker. In NFL news, the Patriots are set to release wide receiver Stephon Diggs after only one season. His cap hit was set to rise from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. And if he was still on the roster by the end of next week, he would have added an additional $6 million to his guaranteed contract. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade, sending all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And in college football news, legendary Notre Dame head coach Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led the Irish to a national title in 1988. Tomorrow night, the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show is on at 6 o'clock. John and the head coach will preview Friday's senior night game against UNLV and more. Join Jon Decker for 15 minutes of no spin White House coverage straight from the press briefing room with his new podcast. Subscribe now on the White House Briefing Room on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, San Diego Sports 760. We are giving away in the next 10 minutes these tickets to the Safari Park. We've got tickets to give away. John Schaefer, Sammy Long. Sammy's going to hang out until 4. Kevin Acee is here at 4. We can ask him about the Venom theory from Tim. We have a 4-pack of tickets to give away to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. We'll do it in the next 10 minutes.
The sex line's amazing.
I know there's a lot of people reacting to Tim. Listen, I appreciate Tim listening. I really do. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, or I get it. And I'm not saying the Padres have all the answers either. Truthfully, it's just what, everyone is looking for an explanation when sometimes you don't need to provide anything other than you got beat. They didn't have a good offense last year. Why would they have had a good offense in a 3-game series in Chicago?
They lost to the Dodgers countless times in the regular season. He kept bringing up the series from a few years ago. Does that mean why would it just automatically change because the Dodgers are getting hypnotized? I mean, come on, let's be real. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's do the Dodgers prepare in a manner that differs from the other teams? It is possible. Do they rely more heavily on analytics within baseball operations? Potentially. There's all kinds of things that they may do that differ from other clubs, but what they also have done, here's a working theory of mine. They signed Shohei Ohtani. It's good. They traded for Mookie Betts.
Pretty good player.
Solid. They signed Freddie Freeman. He's had a decent career.
They didn't do any of that stuff, John. They hypnotized all those guys and tricked them into signing with the Dodgers.
Think about what we're saying. I mean, I'm not saying always the most talented team wins. They don't. The Dodgers are not guaranteed to win World Series. I think it is absolutely realistic that someone else does it. I thought Toronto was very well positioned last year. I think the Padres are reasonably well positioned the year before it. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers' talent, they've gotten a lot out of it. So that is a credit to their organization. But let's not overthink it. The Padres were 28th in home runs last year. When they didn't have a good 3 games in Chicago, that wasn't overly shocking. Just kind of followed the path that they were on.
Yeah, they limped in the playoffs. Yeah, they were faltering. They had opportunities at multiple different times last summer to overtake the Dodgers for the division. People forget about that. There were multiple series that it was either tied or a game or 2 back when they went in that two weekend series in a row where the Dodgers swept the Padres in LA and the Padres took 2 of 3 down here in San Diego. Heading into that series, I believe they were only a game back or something. It was completely up in the air. No, that's crazy. Tim.
I don't even know how we got there.
Tim had some thoughts.
He had some thoughts. And again, I respect it. At the end of the day, it's we all want an explanation for certain things. We come up with these reasons, and it's as simple as the Dodgers have been a leg up on San Diego and most of baseball by and large. And how do you close that gap? I mean, that's a $1 billion question. I don't know. Is it the next ownership group is going to invest properly? Is it these players are going to perform to a higher level? Is it the coaching around them? Is it the analytics? I mean, yeah, there's ways to close gaps. It's not I don't think going into the year's over. You know what I mean? I think there's ways for things to happen. But I mean, to me, it's not because the Dodgers were angry.
No, I think it's because the Dodgers know how to win, and it's crazy because for years they didn't know how to win in pressure-filled spots.
Absolutely.
For a lot of
losses.
A lot of the 2010s, a lot of the Padres took them out in 4 games. Diamondbacks swept them. Braves before that. I mean, the Dodgers the last 2 years have figured out ways to win when their backs are up against the wall. And there's no one else to blame except the teams that they played. The Padres have to blame themselves. The Blue Jays have to blame themselves. The Dodgers were throwing a bullpen game in Game 4 in San Diego when it looks like they couldn't hit a baseball the previous 2 games, and they still find a way to win. The Blue Jays have all the advantages going back to Toronto, 2 games to win, countless opportunities in Game 7 to win. They don't do it. The Dodgers know how to win pressure-filled games. They used to not. They flipped the switch when they got their World Series title against the Yankees, and they win the big games, and these other teams simply don't. That's what it comes down to.
Tim is calling back. No, we're not. We can't have a back and forth all day, Tim, about it. Yeah, it's an interesting topic in general. Like, it honestly goes back to what we said throughout February, which is like, I don't like fans to think heading into a year that the Padres are already defeated. And I don't think that's what Tim is saying, because he's saying, hey, do this and maybe they'll be better. But like, you go to Fangraphs, there's 11 teams that have a 0.5% chance of winning the World Series. So it's like this idea or belief that the Dodgers have already won a World Series or your team isn't as good as the other team. Yeah, it is crazy because it is baseball. Like, in the NBA, if there's a dominant team, they do have a really good chance of maybe winning. When Golden State's winning 65 plus games, they had really good teams. They're going to be tough to beat. The Cleveland 7-game series win over the 73-9 Warriors was unbelievable because that's just so unexpected, obviously. So oftentimes in the NBA, you can go down that path. There have been so many examples in baseball where a team wins 105 games and doesn't win a World Series. I mean, so many. The Dodgers of the 2010s
Dodgers
would be up there. There was a Giants-Dodgers year when they met in the postseason. The Giants were better than Dodgers in the regular season.
I mean, take another NOS team. Take the Arizona Diamondbacks a few years ago.
Right.
I know they didn't end up winning the whole thing. They had no business being in that World Series.
Sure.
If you would have told people 2 months before the season the Diamondbacks are playing in the World Series against the Rangers, people would have called you crazy. I mean, baseball and hockey are weird sports in that teams can get hot, kind of football too, but usually the top tier teams are going through to the Super Bowl. I mean, guys, you have a hot goaltender, you have a hot pitcher, and it can carry you away. Yes, are the Dodgers, if you had to today be like, you have to pick the World Series winner, obviously you pick the Dodgers. They have the most talent. They're back-to-back champs. They look like they added pieces in Kyle Tucker and Edwin Diaz. But yeah, the season's over. I mean, the whole point of a long MLB season is that injuries are a real factor in baseball, and I'm not rooting for that for anyone. But I mean, I don't see that the season's just over. And if people think that, I think that they're a little maybe too prisoner of the moment and that the Dodgers won the last 2 World Series.
I agree with that. Interesting article at ESPN that has WBC players that are locks for the Hall of Fame. Okay, there's an article that lists, according to ESPN, these are the players that are locks for the Hall of Fame playing in the WBC. All right. Clayton Kershaw, lock for the Hall of Fame. We all agree? Yes. Shohei Ohtani, lock for the Hall of Fame. We all agree? Yes. Aaron Judge, he's done enough.
He's a Yankee.
And he's nowhere near done, and the home run numbers are going to be ridiculous. Next player on the list, Manny Machado, which I have been singing from the top of the mountaintops for now 2+ years. Whatever you think about Manny Machado, hasn't won in the postseason, hasn't hit in the playoffs, not a leader. Some would go farther and say even a clubhouse cancer. Whatever you think about Manny Machado, greatest Padre of all time, hasn't lived up to the contracts with an S. At the end of the day, and I've been saying this, and I'll continue to say it, he is a stone cold mortal lock for the Hall of Fame. He's over 2,000 hits. He's approaching 400 home runs. There's one third baseman ever with 500 home runs and 1,500 RBIs. His name is Mike Schmidt. And Manny Machado has an excellent chance to be the next. So he's had an interesting career, a fascinating one. Baltimore, brief stop in obviously LA, and now will spend the majority of his time in San Diego. He will don a Padres cap in the Hall of Fame one day at some point in the next 10 or 12 years or so. Manny Machado is going to hit 500 home runs. He's at 369. He's 33. He's going to reach 3,000 hits. He's over 2,000 already. And Manny Machado, no matter what you think about him, whether he brings a World Series to the city or not, is destined. I think his career could end in the next 2.5 years he'd be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm telling you right now, he is destined for Cooperstown. I completely agree with this.
I agree. And it's going to come off as a shot at Manny Machado, but it's not meant that way. It shows you that compared to other sports, people in baseball, they don't care what you do in the postseason.
That's
because
correct.
this is a postseason
That's
award. In basketball, more than any other.
Yep.
It is in the NBA. How many rings do you have? And did you win in big spots? There's been a lot of great regular season players, but if you don't have a ring on your finger, you get knocked down a peg. And if you don't have multiple rings on your finger, you get knocked down a peg. Look at the NFL. I mean, how many countless quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, they're evading that elusive ring that would put them in a different stratosphere of how we talk about quarterbacks. There's always going to be a ceiling to how we talk about them as long as they don't have a ring. Baseball's a different sport. And some of it's fair in that unless you're Shohei Ohtani, you're not pitching if you're a hitter, you're not hitting if you're a pitcher. So you can't control everything that happens and if a team is advancing in a series, but it does show that in the MLB Hall of Fame, it is not just what you do. If you are a perennially great regular season player, you're getting in the Hall of Fame. If there's less importance on postseason numbers in Major League Baseball than there is in other sports because Manny Machado has only been a 209 career hitter in the postseason.
You don't even have to play in the postseason. Look at Mike Trout. 3 games. Not only less importance of the postseason, it is irrelevant by and large. You can get extra credit for being an all-timer, Derek Jeter. You're just adding to.
And if you have a heroic moment in a game,
he was getting in either way, Derek Jeter. But you're just kind of adding on at that point. It's like a cherry on top. But you will not be docked votes because you did not perform in the postseason as a baseball player. All right, call right now if you want a free 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. The number to call 877-767-4760. Amazing giveaway. Free 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Caller 5, you're going, 877-767-4760. The new Elephant Valley at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park lets you get up close and roam with the largest land animals on Earth. The elephants aren't the only ones who will never forget. Elephant Valley, now open. I like that. Looking forward to checking that out. 877-767-4760. Kevin Acee joins us live at 4 p.m. from Peoria and Padres Spring Training coming up next on San Diego Sports 760. All right, Kevin Acee coming up at 4 p.m. Also coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. John Schaefer, Sammy Long. I actually sent this to Brent for something in the back page, but Brent's got a lot for the back page, so I'm going to mention it here, which is the NCAA tournament. Obviously, what are we, a week out from Selection Sunday? What's today? Wednesday, so 10 days out, 10 or 11 days. So we still have a little bit of time, but it's coming. And CBS announcing today that they're going to use a crew for the second game of the first four. This would be Tuesday night, like Selection Sunday. 2 days later, there's a game. That was San Diego State last year. That was San Diego State, North Carolina last year. And that crew is going to include Brian Anderson, the longtime veteran play-by-play announcer, with Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley.
Hell yeah.
Calling that game. So a very unique crew. I have no idea the last time or if Dick Vitale has called NCAA tournament games, because he's been with ESPN for so long. ESPN has not been a rights holder.
Him and Charles Barkley called a game for Auburn a month ago, I believe.
That makes sense. Well, he's always calling, obviously Dickie V's calling college basketball games, but tournament games, because he hasn't worked for CBS. Maybe there was a time back in the day that it presented itself, but I think that's going to get some people to tune in. Now, again, that Tuesday, Wednesday, people are dipping their toe in. They want the 64 team field. They want to break out their bracket. They want the Thursday off day, right? They want to watch from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah, calling sick from work.
Yeah, I mean, we all love that. I mean, Viejas has 4 games on Friday, that first Friday of the tournament this year.
It's funny because we were talking about, there's been a lot made this week about like Coach K. Every time the tournament comes up, should they expand the tournament? That's always the conversation that gets brought up. Coach K actually kind of was like, no, I think that kind of ruins it a little bit, dilutes the college basketball product, which, people who criticize the college basketball regular season would say that the casual fans don't tune in until February, March, because if you're Kansas, if you're Duke, if you're one of these blue blood programs, the chances of you not getting in are slim to none.
Right.
My thing though with the first four is I feel like a lot of people tune in. They had like 7 million people tune in last year. So obviously people care, but they give us one game we care about. There's the 11C game, the 12C game. If you're going to expand the field, I would keep it at 68. And I know you can't do this because there's all these conferences that get in. I don't need to see 16 seeds playing to get in to be first victim. I'm sorry. That might not be a popular opinion because everyone deserves a shot. I feel like the 2 lowest conference champions should not be getting in the tournament. If you want to expand the field, give us games where people are going to pick. Why do people care about the 11 seed and 12 seed games? They're filling out their brackets, and those are games that you might actually pick as upsets. No one's picking a 16 seed over a 1, even though it's happened a few times. If you're going to expand the field, that's how I would do it.
Interesting you say that. Here's what I would do. Any conference champion, including Mount St. Mary's and Norfolk State, I put them in the 64 team bracket. My first 4 is the last 8 at-large teams.
Okay, well, that's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not getting rid of like Mount St. Mary's. Like they won their little league. Give them their day in the sun. And like you said, I mean, we saw UMBC beat Virginia. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Isn't the head coach that was at UMBC now at Virginia? Yeah, Ryan Odom. How insane is that? The UMBC coach that beat the number 1 overall seed got the Utah State job out of that, and then ended up back at Virginia.
And then they just got waxed by Duke.
Yeah, but now Tony Bennett's with the Lakers.
Yeah, Tony Bennett's on the Lakers staff.
Yeah, life comes at you quick. But, I mean, again, there's been so much, to your point, there's been so much chatter over the tournament. Should you expand it? I mean, here's the one thing I would say with the NCAA, and they've been under so much, ridicule or fire or, there's been so much attention on them in recent years with all the changes in college athletics. You have a golden goose. The NCAA tournament is a true golden goose, the second best sporting event in the nation to the Super Bowl. That's different than the Super Bowl, right? It's different because of how it plays out. It's a much longer event. But how many people would argue at that point? Is March Madness not the second most celebrated event in American sports? By and large, people feel that way.
What the Super Bowl March Madness have is people who may not watch a single NFL game all year are watching the Super Bowl. People who don't watch a single college basketball game all year, the opening weekend specifically, I think it gets more. If your team's in it, you care. I think maybe it drops off a little bit as you get, down to the Sweet 16 and fewer. But the opening weekend, I mean, that's especially the first 2 days, two of the greatest days in sports on the calendar.
It just is. I know everyone, listen, San Diego State, it looked for a while like they would find their way in, and they still may through the Mountain West tournament. Even if they're not in, and man, it's been a ritual here over the last decade plus. They've been in so often. Even if they're not, everyone's still excited for the first Thursday of the NCAA tournament.
Of course.
It's the first Thursday of the NCAA tournament. I'm excited to, for once again, NCAA tournament games to be in San Diego at Viejas Arena. So it's a great event. So it's a long way of me saying, don't jeopardize anything if you're the NCAA. And I'm not saying you would by going to 72. I mean, it didn't used to be 68. It didn't used to be 64. I mean, there was a day where it was 16. There was a day when it was 48. So it's changed, and sports changed. The NFL playoffs is different than when I was a kid.
They have 7 teams that get in each conference.
Yeah, there
now.
weren't 14 teams back in the day. There were 12. And before that, there were less. You know what I mean? So things do change. So I'm not immediately going to say any change is the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm just saying you have to think so long and hard about change when it comes to an event of this magnitude, like changing something around the Super Bowl. You're going to put the thing in London, you better be careful because you have something that is tried and true. You're going to put the thing on Amazon Prime, better be careful. The Super Bowl is working the way they've been. You're going to change the halftime show to be a magic show. You better be careful because what you're doing has been working, is what I would say.
The example that I would give to what you just said about how, you want to put the Super Bowl in London, WWE next year.
Yep.
WrestleMania is in Saudi Arabia.
And now is that even like
well, it's an issue because when it's in America, people from all over the world will usually come to America for WrestleMania. Now the question is, how many Americans are going to go to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania, and how many people from other countries are going to go over there for WrestleMania? So lots of people are like, maybe you got a little too greedy, and like you said, you should have just stayed in the States instead of chasing more money.
Again, it's like when you have a golden goose, when you have something so tried and true. There's so many classic examples of this with brands. When you've got a strong brand, keep doing what you're doing. When you get too cute with your brand and you turn your back on your longtime supporters, you can ruin a brand overnight.
Coke and New Coke.
There's so many examples of something like that. So listen, it's 60. Nobody ever would have. 68's a weird number, to be honest. There was a lot
odd.
There was a lot of ridicule when they went from 64 to 65.
I just think if you made the first 4 all teams that people can pick in March Madness and brackets, and can realistically gamble on, because that's what drives a lot of interest as people get into gambling with the tournament. You're in your office pool with your brackets. People want to know what to do. I think it would add even more excitement. But to your point, it's not like the first weekend of March Madness needs even more branding because it is so iconic.
It is. All right, Kevin Acee on the other side. Sammy, appreciate you, my friend.
Boys, later.
Sammy Long in studio. We'll be back tomorrow with us here at 2 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Before that, actually beginning at noon with Ben Fletcher. Kevin Acee live from Peoria. His takeaways from Joe Musgrove's return to the mound for the first time since the 2024 postseason. Kevin Acee from Peoria, our Padres insider, joins us next on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by the Brad versus Everyone podcast. In college football news, legendary college football coach Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led the Fighting Irish to a national title in 1988, and he, of course, was part of ESPN's college football coverage for 10 years. In NFL news, the Patriots are set to release wide receiver Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. And if he was still on the roster by the end of next week, it would have added an additional $6 million of guaranteed money to his contract. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to trade All-Pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And John and the head coach will preview senior night on Friday against UNLV and more. Dangerous social media trends, media scandals, dumb TikTok boycotts, and more. Keep up with all the online stories mainstream media ignores by listening to the Brad versus Everyone podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, San Diego Sports 760. Significant day in Peoria. The return of Joe Musgrove for the first time since the 2024 postseason, coming off Tommy John surgery and back on the hill in a spring training game. And Kevin Acee is our Padres insider to react to what's playing out just about 3 weeks out from opening day. So, Kevin, as always, appreciate you taking time for our listeners. And let's just start with the return of Joe, what it signifies, what the takeaways were. What do you have to say about what played out earlier today?
You know, Joe's fastball velocity was right where you would expect, where it has been his career, even a little bit up in some ways. The pitches looked good, both to the eye and then, metrically speaking. And I wish I had more for you on terms of like concrete stuff, because there's just the questions about what Joe's going to be this year. Even if you're Joe Musgrove's biggest fan, you would have to acknowledge that, we don't know. Coming back from Tommy John, it's kind of come to be seen as like this ho-hum. Oh yeah, people come back from Tommy John. Well, will he be the excellent pitcher that he has been? We don't know. Like I'm certainly betting on it. I'm not betting against Joe Musgrove. And I just wrote a story and he talked about his compete. And I think that he's spot on, that he's one of the best in the business when he's out there in terms of competing with whatever he has. And so I got no doubts about that, but this is going to be a long journey. His command was not good today. Now look, guys coming back from any a 2-month absence, their command can, they can struggle with their command. Locating pitches the way they used to is something that even the best pitchers have typically had to take time to be able to do when they're coming back from Tommy John. It's not the velocity, it's the command. So that's where we're at with Joe. But like this was a significant step in that it was a step that he took.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. As you know better than I do and most, is like one of the things with Joe over his career, or certainly one of the knocks on Joe in his time in San Diego, is he almost like overdoes it in an effort to help his team. Right? He wants to get back soon, and that's admirable, but it doesn't necessarily pay off. Will that change this time around? Like you can't outwork Tommy John surgery, right? To your point, command comes back with time, not with work. Is he just going to be accepting of the process as it plays out?
Well, he has been. I mean, like obviously last year, he really wanted to, for himself, get back and pitch in the postseason. And like, I don't know if he would have, because like had they advanced beyond the wild card round, because he was being so pragmatic about it. Because you're right. Like in 23, he worked too hard and he set himself back. What he did in 24 was remarkable. He knew that was going to happen, and he made it all the way to the wild card series and pitched. He was running out of gas at elbow in 2024, and he was still going 100 miles an hour. Like his results at the end of 24 were amazing. Like Joe Musgrove his ethic is unquestioned, but I do think that he has learned from that. Now, as the process plays out, look, he's even at I don't know if you'd call it 100% healthy, but like even without there being any concerns about the elbow, a lot of pitchers say that while they can, and this is the same with ACL a lot of times too, for like football players where that injury happens a lot, that even if they come back and they're healthy that first year, it's the second year when they're truly back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider with us right now in San Diego Sports 760. So I guess I would just, to put a bow on the Musgrove talk, how would you deem, or maybe how would the Padres deem it to be a successful year for Joe Musgrove?
Going out and making the vast majority of his starts, 25 starts. And which is, you look and it's like, that's fairly successful. Joe probably gave you 150 innings. And if he made 25 starts, he was healthy throughout, because I don't think it would be like 25 starts shut him down. It's going to be, he pitched every 7, 8, 9 days, one period over the summer or something like that. And that could be something they do to, give him a little break and make sure he doesn't burn out. So if he makes 25 starts, that's a good year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fernando Tatis Jr., a lot of conversation this spring. I know he's off now with the WBC team with the Dominican Republic. Yesterday with the Team Dominican, he's leading off. Obviously, he's batted lower in the lineup at times here this spring. Craig Stammen has been outspoken about where Fernando Tatis Jr. may hit. What are they weighing here? What are the pros and cons of putting Tatis where he was last year in the leadoff spot as opposed to putting him further down in the lineup like third or fourth?
Well, I don't know if you saw the story I wrote, I posted today where Stam was obviously asked this morning. Yeah. Tatis went 3 for 3 last night, had 2 RBIs,
yeah, I saw
had men on base. I mean, all 3 times he could have, because he obviously led off the game. And then the next 3 times he came up, had runners on base when he came up. And wow, that's pretty amazing. He's playing for the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Geraldo Perdomo, Silver Slugger at shortstop, is batting 9th. All right. Julio Rodriguez is batting 7th. Austin Wells is batting 8th. That's far better than what the Padres will run out this year, and like light years better than what they ran out for the majority of 2025 in the 7, 8, 9 spots. And that is really the big problem with Fernando Tatis Jr. batting first, is that he came up with the bases empty like the 10th most times in the major leagues, like now, or the 7th most times. Now, ahead of him was Shohei Ohtani, and that didn't seem to be a problem for the Dodgers. But Tatis led the Padres with 9 home runs with runners on base, despite having the 6th most at bats with runners on base. Like, he just didn't get a lot of opportunities. And so we can also talk about guys not coming through with him in scoring position. But really, it's the fact that Tatis was coming up with no one on base, like 2 outs, because the 7, 8, 9 hitters sucked until it was Ramon Laureano, Jake Cronenworth, and Freddie Fermin at the end when they had a 332 on base percentage over the final 2 months. So that, if they can do that, after my long-winded preamble, if they can do that, then Tatis in the one hole makes sense. And Tatis believes that. If you look at my story, I had a quote. I talked to him the day before he left the WBC. It was a vast conversation. And most of it was for a story on Tatis and the upcoming season. But, some parts won't fit in there. And one part that fit today was he said, yeah, if you're going to bat me leadoff, put a real lineup down there. That's what he said. So he knows, what the issue was. So do the Padres. It's not a big, secret. It's a freaking waste for him to be there, probably. And I take responsibility. Did I write about it last year? Sure. I was very focused on the fact that that Luis Ariz, the number 2 hitter, was having his worst year, wasn't driving in Tatis when he was on base or moving Tatis over when he was on base. I was more focused on that. I'll say that maybe I should have been more focused too on the fact that the 7, 8, 9 hitters. But, much like the Ariz batting number 2, we knew that was a problem. They're 7, 8, 9 until they made the trades. Who the heck else was going to bat for him? And where the heck else was Tatis going to bat? No one on that team was really getting on base or driving runners in. So, but if you want to be a better team this year, Tatis needs to come up with runners on base.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely. So it's interesting to see where they eventually land with that. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Here's a comment I have that I think is completely unfair, but I want your reaction anyway.
I love it.
I'm just kind of watching, I'm seeing Tatis with the Dominican team. And I don't know if you saw something like the social media stuff. They show him like in the, I don't know, weight room or clubhouse. He's dancing and he just seems to be enjoying life. And then there's sometimes I see him in the Padres clubhouse, and it's a much different temperament. I get it. WBC isn't the major leagues, 200 games opposed to 3 games or whatever. Is there something to be said for like Tatis's comfort level right now? What we're now again, there's no sample size yet with this Dominican team in the WBC. I mean, there's literally no sample size, but sometimes it just feels like winter ball Tatis or playing for a nation Tatis feels like a different version of that player than what we see in San Diego. Fair or unfair?
That was 2019, 2020, and a lot of times 2021.
Right.
Tatis too, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to agree with you. That is unfair, but you elucidated all the reasons that it is unfair, right?
Right.
Like WBC playing not only for the Dominican, but now these last couple games in the Dominican,
correct,
playing for in his country that he loves. And so that you can't compare the two, but here's where I'll say that I think that it's justified your question in terms of like, what about what we sometimes see? And that will be something that I'll be addressing here in a couple of weeks. That I'm not going to write about what Tatis while he's gone. We're going to wait on that. Maybe I have a couple more questions for him. I don't know. But, yeah, Tatis needs to have a better attitude. And he knows it.
Yeah.
And he's working on it.
Yeah, you just
and
kind
the
of
Padres are working on it.
I mean, he had like and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, because you're covering this team day in and day out. There was like, I understand it. He's under microscopes. He's in his 20s. No one else is viewed day in and day out as a 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Now he's 27, but nobody else in their 20s is asked questions by the media every day or seen on television every day. And so I get it. There's highs and lows, but it did feel like last year there was just like a 2+ month stretch where he was just like down. Like that's just the way I interpreted it. Like he just wasn't, I don't know, in the right temperament or mood. And that was reported. That's been discussed. That's been talked about on Sports Talk.
And it has. And I'm going to go as in-depth, I think, as probably anyone has. And he did, to his credit. And what I will say is, like, he's aware of it. The Padres are aware of it. Heck, Craig Stammen, you don't even barely have to read between the lines, has alluded to it a couple of times.
Right.
I get lost between the things he said to me, like alone, but I also know that in public, he has made kind of allusions to that of Tatis playing like Tatis, and those you can read into like, free, easy, fun. I will say this. I said Tatis has to have a better attitude. I'm glad that you don't do me wrong like some shows have in the past, and you just put out like some, Kevin said Tatis has to have a better attitude, and then it's completely out of context. I appreciate you don't do that, but I want to give further context to it, that he knows it, and it is largely based. I'm not trying to excuse him, because sometimes maybe it's been immaturity or whatever. Or maybe that's just his freaking personality, because I can admit I'd be like that if I were him.
Right.
But he has think about the things Tatis says. Is he ever shy about saying that he believes he's the best or one of the handful of best players in the major leagues? And then, do you think he's an idiot? He knows he hasn't performed like that in the last 3 seasons. Right. Now, flashes, but not like that first 3 years where it was like, man, we'd already have him in the Hall of Fame if he continued like those first 3 years. So he is letting himself down. And that is a large part of what is then reflected. And anybody that's going to be down on him has the right to do that, but then also should look at themselves and ask themselves how they'd feel if they were Tatis and your expectations were that you were the best player on the planet and you're not performing like it.
Yeah, I love that perspective. It's like you knew what Tatis thought of himself last year when he's booking trips during the All-Star break, even though he ultimately played in the, appeared in the All-Star game. But I think when people sometimes criticize Tatis's play last year and others are like, no, it was an amazing year. I'm like, well, Tatis is telling you it wasn't an amazing year by his standards. Not to say he's not. I mean, he's a terrific player. He's a brilliant defender. He's helping you win games, even when he's not hitting 42 home runs, but he's not living up to his own expectations. And that's abundantly clear.
The fairness question is an interesting one because what is fair for a guy who they were practically building a statue for, right? Like 14 years, is that right? I lost track. $340 million. You're the future of the franchise. Like, you know, all the things he's been through, like just like when we hold Manny Machado to a certain standard. Wait until Aaron Judge doesn't have a great season in New York. Like when you are making the big bucks and you have performed at a certain level, like, you know, that's the standard people are going to hold you to. And if you're Fernando, who isn't shy about it, well, like, I mean, I do think there have been some, what I would call unfair. I think some people, like, it's really easy to read into, like, oh, you see a clip, or you see a guy in the dugout or whatever. And either you go, wow, that guy's a great guy. Look, he's smiling. And I'm like, that guy's a great guy. Well, he couldn't news to me. Or do you judge a guy by saying, what a jerk? And it's like, no, that's probably one of the best clubhouse leaders there are. Like that kind of thing. Like, I do think that we all fall prey to that in this age where everything's available on TV and the broadcast and the social media and all that. But with Tatis, I think that there is some validity to this analysis.
Kevin, love the reporting and your insight, and our listeners appreciate it. And we will do it again soon from Peoria as we get closer to opening day. But thanks as always for taking time for us.
Right on, man.
All right. Great stuff from Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. We react on the other side, plus the wrap coming up on San Diego Sports 760. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Let's see here. Really liked, by the way, what Kevin had to say there about both Musgrove and Tatis. The Tatis conversation is so fascinating in terms of him being under a microscope and everyone has an opinion on it. Oh, the reason he's not playing well is this. And, oh, it's off field. And did you see him in the clubhouse? He didn't smile. And, when he was at short, but when he's in right field, he needs venom or whatever. Everyone has an opinion on Fernando Tatis Jr. And that comes with the territory. Completely reasonable. Most would change places with him. He's making $340 million, whether he ever gets another hit again in his career. But some of it also, the other side of that coin is it's not always desirable to be in his shoes. A lot of people would desire to be in his shoes. Okay. A lot of people. But that doesn't mean it doesn't come with some things that aren't always desirable. You really want to be under that microscope, everything you say analyzed, every one of your performances, good or bad, debated. That is being a professional athlete. That is sports. But also he brought it on himself. Statute contract, right? Debuting as a 19-year-old, matrix slot. Like he set the bar so damn high, like the rent, that even good isn't good enough when you are great and you are really great. So you got a high bar, a really high bar, and it's been hard to clear for years now. And now everyone's opinion is, this, Brent, we've brought this up a lot. Well, he tested positive. Well, he's been hurt. Well, he can't stay healthy. And, well, jerks in profile. Everyone's got an angle on it. Everyone has an angle on it. It's on Tatis to prove people wrong. And also, I thought about this too. Just stay true to yourself, dude. When you were 19 and 20 and 21, you were trying to be no one other than you. So just be you, for better or for worse. If you're true to yourself and you are who you are to the best of your ability, then we're going to take it. But it has been a fascinating first half of a career for Fernando Tatis Jr. in San Diego.
It's almost one of those situations where when you just have that much success early, he's this isn't him, but it's like that saying when it's like, oh, they peaked in high school, to where they peaked early. Like look at Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill had that amazing rookie season, and then that set him up for such high expectations that when he didn't meet his amazing rookie year, people were down on him for not being able to duplicate it, instead of just kind of looking at the big picture and saying that you're not taking a bigger sample size. You're taking his first year and just going, oh, well, he had a great year. So then that means now in my mind, he has to have a great year every year because I expect him to do this all the time because this is the only memory I have of him as him doing this.
Yeah, I know. I think that's really, I think it's well said. And it goes back to, my general point of we all have, everyone's got an opinion on Tatis, which is not a bad thing. But I don't necessarily envy. And everyone has an opinion on everyone, but again, it's I think you sign off for it. He's not playing in New York. So it's not that magnifying glass. It's not that microscope. And again, a lot of this he brought on himself.
Well, some of it too, he's lucky Manny's here. Honestly,
that too.
Because if Manny wasn't here to field, a lot of these questions too, guess who would be getting them?
Yeah,
Tatis would.
Yep.
And he would be getting the bulk of it, and all those questions that, irritate Manny all the time in the clubhouse and stuff like that. That is all going to get put on you. And, when the media is going to look for somebody to blame on why you've lost 3 out of 4 or something like that, guess who they're going to come and ask about it? They're going to ask you now because now, you are the default leader of this team. So I think that he's getting better at it. Just like when you look at his not press conferences, but his his clubhouse interviews after games. I remember his first couple of years, he would kind of
Chuckle at everything.
He just kind of talk really soft and almost
Right.
kind of mumble so you can understand what he was saying, and you just kind of sit like there and like this, like he's doing ASMR or something. But now, when you ask him questions, he speaks up like he's got a little more confidence, in the dugout, asking or answering questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, like when I said like he kind of brought it on himself, there's a number of ways to look at that. But like, I'll give you one more example on it. It's like all spring long, there's already been a number of quotes. This is why we're going to be better. This is why I'm going to have this career year. Trust me, trust me, trust me. When you don't, it's like it's at some point you got to stop saying it. Like, 2025 is different than 2024. 2026 is different than 2025. Well, like, is it really going to be? You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to go out and prove that you are. If it's going to be different, then we're expecting big things. You can't go from 25 home runs to 26. That's not different. Like, oh, this is going to be the best year of my career. Well, then it better be. You can't just say that in February and then have a comparable year to the last 3 years if you're Tatis. So, fascinating player, fascinating time. Will he return to form in 2026? Remains to be seen. We'll get to the wrap. On the other side, we've got BNP Paribas tickets to give away as well coming up later this hour here until 6. San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Red Pilled America. In college football news, a legendary Notre Dame coach Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led the Fighting Irish to a national title in 1988 and was part of ESPN's college football coverage for 10 years. In NFL news, the Patriots are going to cut Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from a 10.5 to 26.5 million. And if he was still on the roster by the end of next week, he would have had an additional 6 million of his contract guaranteed. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade, sending all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks, including one first-rounder this year. And tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, it's the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show. John and the Aztecs head coach will sit down and preview Friday night's senior night game against UNLV. Red Pilled America is storytelling show for Patriots. Listen to Red Pill America on the iHeartRadio app. That's Red Pilled America.
All right, we have BNP Paribas tickets to give away. We'll do that this hour, some point in the next 20 minutes or so, underway in Indian Wells. We'll give those away coming up later in the hour. Great to connect with Kevin Acee. Did we talk about, real quick, we'll get to the wrap in 2 seconds. Did we talk about the glass floors? Have you seen the LED technology on basketball floors? I'll have to send it to you because you'll find it pretty interesting. It's like, they take an NBA court, right, that says Knicks on it.
They did that for an NBA thing for...
Yeah, maybe like an all-star type event previously. It's been done overseas, I think maybe in China or maybe somewhere in Europe. It's like, I don't know what it's called, like a glass technology, glass floor, but it has the same attributes to wooden floor, like the way the ball bounces, but you can change the look of the floor, right? It's like a digital floor.
Oh, they used it for the All-Star game last year in the NBA.
Yes, remember that? It was pretty cool. Well, they're using it this year in the Big 12 tournament. I want to send you this video. I'm assuming it's the future of courts in basketball. The reason I say that, like in the NBA, they're always changing courts, right? Like, what was it called? What's the NBA Cup has a unique floor design.
Well, in some teams like the Bucks have an alternate court.
Yeah, and I think the future is we don't need 3 courts. You could just have one court and use this like LED design.
Yeah, I'm watching a video of it.
It's pretty cool, right?
You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
We're old, so this will date us. But it reminds me of like the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean video. Remember, he'd walk on the steps and then his footsteps would light up the sidewalk.
Exactly. I mean, but it is kind of fascinating. Anyway, the Big 12 tournament that gets underway next week in Kansas City will use that court. It's the first time we'll ever have basketball played on this court, college or pro, because that was an all-star like event. But this is the first time we'll actually have games played on these brand new like glass LED courts. I'm kind of curious what it looks like.
The thing that amazes me, and it's not even like all the designs and everything, it's just how do they play on that without cracking it?
I don't know if it's true glass. I don't know.
I know it's
some ridiculous technology. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it has like wooden characteristics. Like I said, the ball's not going to bounce differently. You know what I mean? Like the floor is going to be a floor to the player. And the attributes of the floor won't change in the play. You know what I mean? They're not going to have like colors like changing during the action. I don't think it's more for like media timeouts and television, but it is kind of fascinating. All right, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
What was your reaction to Jerks and Profire's 162 game suspension?
I mean, it's not a great look for anyone. You know, I mean, it really isn't. And that first and foremost is Jerks and Profire. What are you thinking, dude? What are the career earnings of Profire? I almost said Tatis, Freudian. What are the career earnings of Profire before this 3-year, $42 million deal? I'll tell you what, it's not $42 million. No way is it $42 million. Brent, I think, is looking it up. You have now thrown away half of this contract because he's been suspended for 240 plus games and the contract's 480 games. So $21 million have been thrown away, let alone what a letdown for your teammates. And you're not living up, obviously, to your deal because you've tested positive twice. What are his career earnings?
About 41 and a half.
Does that include the last 2 years?
Yes.
So think about that. I don't know if the money. My point is, half the money he's earned in his career he's given up. over these last 2 years. So it's a terrible look. It's a terrible look. I have no idea what he's thinking. I have not heard an explanation. You get popped last year for 80 games and this year for 162. Are you kidding? How? I mean, it's completely inexcusable is what it is. I have no, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't sympathize. I don't know how I'm supposed to sympathize with that.
Well, that's the thing that I was going to say is you can't really, he's done.
He's done. He's done. He should never play.
You can get popped once and be like, oh, okay, that was a mistake. People make mistakes. You can have a second chance. Or maybe I didn't know it was on the list. Whatever your excuse might be, we'll give you a second chance. But if you're going to make the same dumbass mistake twice, practically within a year period, because he got popped, it was like opening day or like 2 days before opening day last year.
It was like 4 days into the season. They opened in San Diego. We went to the SDFC match.
So, if you're just going to be that dumb, then, like you said, I don't have any sympathy for you. Nobody's going to have any sympathy for you or give you the benefit of the doubt in the future because, twice in pretty much a year and 12 days is all trust for you is gone.
He's done. I mean, if I'm Atlanta, pay out the third year because he's in a union. You can't get out of it. I don't think it's done. He's not playing for the Braves ever again.
Well, and last year when he got popped, I joked. I was like, well, I guess we dodged the proverbial bullet with that one by not re-signing him. And then this year it's like, Christ, I guess we really dodged
what's
it.
next? The lifetime ban in 2027? Why not? Just do it again. I have no explanation or sympathy for it. Next question.
Will Joe Musgrove have a good year?
I hope I think he's capable of having a good year. I think anything beyond that is so wishful. You're setting yourself up for failure, both from a player and like fan reaction. I think he can have a good year. I think, as Kevin said, he can make a majority of the starts. I think that he can throw more innings than he threw during a couple of injury-riddled seasons in 2023 and 2024. I'd be very surprised if he had a great year. Like that to me is, just so optimistic and so hard to live up to coming off Tommy John. Most guys don't feel like themselves until you're 2 years removed from the surgery. That won't be until the end of the season. So it's Joe Musgrove. I have faith in him. I'm not going to overreact to his numbers if they take a step back a little bit, if he is healthy and he's able to pitch every fifth or sixth day. So, yeah, I think he can be good. I'd be very surprised if he was great, is how I look at it. Next question.
Is Fernando Tatis Jr. better or worse than the 14th best player in baseball?
So ESPN did their ranking today, top 100 players, position players, and pitchers included. And they have him at 14th. I think he has to prove that. So I think he is overrated heading into the year. You're talking to like his biggest fan. I love Fernando Tatis Jr. I just don't think he's been that player since 2021. Like he was that player in 2021. And he didn't play in 2022. Popped. And then he came back from injury in 2023. We explained it away. Now 24 and 25. He has not been the 14th best player in baseball in 2023, 24, 25. He just hasn't. So if he is, amazing. I hope we say at the end of the year, he was the 14th best player in the sport. That's incredible. But he has to go prove that. I don't think he enters the year as the 14th best player in the sport. I hope he ends the year as the 14th best player in the sport. He has to prove that to me and to a lot of people, I think. Maybe himself. Next question.
Do you want to see Aaron Rodgers return for a final season?
He's non-committal. I'm so over the story. No, I don't. I really don't. I want him to walk away. Still undecided. We don't care that you're undecided. Who is really overly concerned? Steeler fans? Are Steeler fans really waiting on bated breath for this? Guys, you're going 8-9. Guys, you're going 9-8. Guys, you're a game out of the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's just, you can write the script. It's the easiest script to ever write. Look at the AFC. Give me a break. A good year. You're roughly the 7th to 9th best team in the AFC. A good year. It's done.
I know we said that last year though, and they were a missed field goal away from making the playoffs.
No, they did. They did make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they're on the right side of that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But that's the best case, right? Like the best case, you're the worst team in. You got no shot once you get in.
I don't really care if he comes back to Pittsburgh, like you said, but it's like me and Fletch talked about it before. I think it was Saturday or before the Aztec game on Saturday, I think, and he's like, oh, he's going to go to Minnesota. I was like, no, he's not. I was like, he already hates being compared to Favre all the time. I was like, now you think he's going to go from being Packer legend to the Jets and then a quick pit spot, pun intended, in Pittsburgh, and then go to the Vikings? I was like, he may as well just wear number 4 then for the season if he's going to do that. It's like, he's not going to do that.
I just feel like, again, the way he is as the center of attention, I feel like he's probably leading us down a path where look at me, I'm the savior. I did return, but who are you saving? Not any franchise in the NFL.
Well, and he's at the point of his career now to where he's there because he's just there to collect a check.
You know? Hey, listen, we can all agree. Me and you feel the same way about him. Obviously, there was a time where Aaron Rodgers was one of the better quarterbacks in the sport, but this is not that time. You're well past that point, and everyone recognizes that.
Well, what I'm wondering is if he's going to be smart enough to quit before it happens.
Right.
Because remember Peyton Manning, he had that golden arm.
Yep.
And then it seemed like all of a sudden, he was fine in week 6. And then week 7, he came out and he couldn't throw it 15 yards down the field anymore. And it's just happened overnight. Same thing with Drew Brees. Drew Brees used to be able to sling it all over the field. Then his final couple of years, you ever notice how he didn't do anything but throw 15-yard slants the entire game because his arm went away. So, Rodgers still has that cannon arm. But I'm wondering, if he comes back, is he just going to have a day-night drop-off with his arm where all of a sudden it's just not there? I kind of hope so because I don't like him.
I was going to say, it's certainly at least a possibility at his age. All right, we're going to give away BNP Paribas tickets on the other side. Plus, if you miss Kevin Acee, you'll hear a conversation coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We are here until 6. This is San Diego Sports 760. We are live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. We've got these tickets to the BNP Paribas Open underway at Indian Wells, and we'll give those tickets away in the next 7 or 8 minutes. So be listening for that. Great event each and every year. Great players, Carlos Alcaraz, Coco Gauff, and more. We'll give away tickets to that underway right now at Indian Wells. We have a pair of tickets. We'll give those away in the next 7 or 8 minutes. We'll hear from Kevin Acee again if you missed him. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well. We are here until 6. I'm back from Boise after last night. You know how I said like everyone has an opinion on Tatis? I mean, this is kind of the point of Sports Talk Radio. I'm glad they do. It feels like here down the stretch of the Aztecs, everyone has their 2 cents. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, I mean, let's be frank. It has not played out the way they had envisioned it. You don't start 12-2 in the league and then hope to drop 4 of your next 5. Like they were well positioned to certainly vie for an at-large berth to the NCAA tournament 2 weeks ago. Go back to February 17th, they hosted Grand Canyon. Revenge game. That's what it was pegged as heading in. They had lost controversially in Phoenix. Very controversial call with 1 second left. 1 point lead turned into a 1 point loss at the free throw line for Grand Canyon. And there are the Lopes, whatever that Grand Canyon Lopes, the Antelopes, on February 17th at Viejas. And the Aztecs started slow and then led at the half by 4. They had this amazing finishing stretch of the first half, like a frantic pace, turning over Grand Canyon. And you felt for a moment like, wow, San Diego State's really well positioned, not just in that game, but just overall. And then the script flipped and they didn't play well in the second half. And by and large, they haven't played well from that point on. Now, they did arguably play their most complete game in there. Their one win is a 17-point win over Utah State at home. It's a good win. It's a very good win. By the way, Utah State has lost 3 of 4. They lost last night at UNLV by 27. 92-65, I think, was the final last night at the Thomas and Mag. I guess it's a long way of me saying this, that sports are unpredictable. Like just because previously San Diego State had played its best basketball in February and March doesn't mean that other teams are going to acquiesce to that, a year later. Like, what's the saying? They're getting paid too, is basically the saying. And it's been a little bit of a perfect storm. Grand Canyon's good. Nobody's going to want to hear it. But I'm just telling you, because I've been watching and consuming and seeing. Grand Canyon's good. New Mexico's good. Boise's good. The league is good. And yes, in other seasons, the Aztecs have found ways to be at the top by and large in those games, to, outscore their opponents in those games, to find their way into the NCAA tournament, most of the time as an at-large team. Now, there have been examples, including during Dutch's first year, where their only path was by winning the Mountain West tournament. That was their only path in 2017-18. I'd have to look it up, but there was a moment in time that year where they were probably about 500 in January or February. Brian Dutcher's first year as head coach, dealing with injuries, about 500 overall, and then they got hot. Now, they got hot over the end of the regular season and into the Mountain West tournament. I think they rattled off 9 consecutive wins. I'm trying to find it right now. But yeah, there was a stretch that began February 14th, and they didn't lose again until the first round of the NCAA tournament, where they nearly pulled off the upset over Houston. That was a ridiculous game. If anyone remembers it, John Gray, man bun dude for Houston, hit a couple of big shots. Devin Watson for the Aztecs hit a massive 3 late to give him a lead. But then John Gray, I want to say, hit that 3, and Houston survived 67-65. I forget where that game was. I want to say Wichita, Kansas. But that snapped a 9-game winning streak for the Aztecs. Anyway, before that 9-game winning streak, the Aztecs were, 13-10. Right now, they're 19-10, even having lost 4 of their last 5. So I'm not here to tell you that history will repeat itself and they'll just rattle off wins over 3 teams in 3 days in Las Vegas. I don't think it's easy. I'm telling you right now, I think there's a lot of parity in this league. I think there's a lot of comparable teams. But I'm also here to say that San Diego State is fully capable. But John, they've lost 4 or 5. San Diego State's fully capable. But John, they're not fully healthy. That's a factor. And that's accurate. They haven't. They have not been fully healthy. They have not. And they have not played their best basketball. And Dutch said a postgame. We played it earlier. You're not going to win a game getting out-rebounded 37-15. It might be impossible. Like in the history of the sport, how many teams have won with 15 total rebounds in a game? Not a lot would be my guess. And how many teams have won minus 22 or worse on the glass? I mean, what are you winning at a 1-2% clip in that scenario? If you looked at, the history of the game. So, it's easy for me to say if they rebound better, if they don't allow second chance points. But I watched the game a week ago. I think it was a week ago tonight. San Diego State dominated Utah State on the glass. Dominated them. My point is, it is in them. And while it's not as easy as me just saying be better on the glass, but if they are able to improve in that area next week in Las Vegas, Nevada, that will be the difference. They nearly beat New Mexico getting dominated on the glass. Did they not this past weekend? Remember that their center, Tomislav Buljan, 24 points, 18 rebounds. Aztecs should have had the ball down 1 with 30 seconds left, despite that. Despite allowing 16 second chance points in that game. They were outscored at one point in that game, 16-2 in second chance points. It ended up being 16-7. Last night, they were outscored in second chance points, 21-2. In a game they lost by 9, they were outscored by 19 in second chance points. And once again, outscored at the free throw line as well. So I don't know if the stars align, but I'm telling you it's possible because I've seen it with my own 2 eyes before with San Diego State. If it all comes together, amazing. And if it doesn't, I'm here to tell you, and you're going to tell me that this is an excuse, but I'm here to tell you Marquette is 10-19. I'm here to tell you Georgia Tech is 10-20. I'm here to tell as in not every team that has had success historically has a great year every year. Yankees don't win the World Series every year. It's been 20 years. Not really, but it's been since 2009. They can try with all their might, but just because they've won however many they've won in the history of their franchise doesn't mean they're going to win it each and every year. And just because San Diego State has been as dominant as they've been doesn't mean that it's going to automatically occur. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Friday night's a big opportunity because you just want confidence back. It's not about like, oh, they beat UNLV, they're in the NCAA tournament. Not about that at all. You just want some of that mojo back. You have a week off after that game. You go from Friday to Thursday. No other team in the league will have that much time off between games. You can get healthier. You can take a day or two, clear your mind, body, and soul for hopefully what will be a good couple of days in Las Vegas, Nevada. All right, we're going to hear from Kevin Acee on the other side, our Padres insider here until 6. Call right now, though, if you want 2 free tickets to the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. Caller 4, you are going. 2 free tickets to the BNP Paribas Open, 877-767-4760 each March. The Coachella Valley transforming into the epicenter of the tennis universe as the best players in the world descend on Indian Wells for the BNP Paribas Open. Fans experience the magical tennis of world-class stars. We're talking about Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff and more as they take center stage at the famed courts of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. If you want to go, call right now, 877-767-4760. Kevin Acee on the other side on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. In NFL news, the Patriots are set to cut wide receiver Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from $10.5 to $26.5 million. And if he was still in the roster by the end of next week, it would have had an additional $6 million of his contract that would be guaranteed. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade, sending all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And in college football news, legendary head coach of the Fighting Irish, Lou Holtz, passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led Notre Dame to a national title in 1988, and of course was part of ESPN's college football coverage for a little over 10 years. Tomorrow night, it's the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 o'clock. John and the Aztecs head coach will preview Friday night's senior nights against UNLV and more. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
All right, final hour here on San Diego Sports 760. And if you missed it, our Padres insider, Kevin Acee, was on the show earlier talking about the return of Joe Musgrove and more. He was there for it. Musgrove returning today, throwing 3 innings in his first action since the 2024 postseason. And we started the conversation by asking Kevin about his thoughts about Joe Musgrove here today.
Joe's fastball velocity was right where you would expect, where it has been his career, even a little bit up in some ways. The pitches looked good, both to the eye and then, metrically speaking. And I wish I had more for you on terms of like concrete stuff, because there's just the questions about what Joe's going to be this year. Even if you're Joe Musgrove's biggest fan, you would have to acknowledge that, we don't know. Coming back from Tommy John has kind of come to be seen as like this ho-hum. Oh yeah, people come back from Tommy John. Well, will he be the excellent pitcher that he has been? We don't know. Like I'm certainly betting on it. I'm not betting against Joe Musgrove. And I just wrote a story and he talked about his compete. And I think that he's spot on, that he's one of the best in the business when he's out there in terms of competing with whatever he has. And so I got no doubts about that, but this is going to be a long journey. His command was not good today. Now look, guys coming back from any a 2-month absence, their command can, they can struggle with their command. Locating pitches the way they used to is something that even the best pitchers have typically had to take time to be able to do when they're coming back from Tommy John. It's not the velocity, it's the command. So that's where we're at with Joe. But like this was a significant step in that it was a step that he took.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. As you know better than I do and most, is like one of the things with Joe over his career, or certainly one of the knocks on Joe in his time in San Diego, is he almost like overdoes it in an effort to help his team. Right? He wants to get back soon. And that's admirable, but it doesn't necessarily pay off. Will that change this time around? Like you can't outwork Tommy John surgery, right? To your point, command comes back with time, not with work. Is he just going to be accepting of the process as it plays out?
Well, he has been. I mean, like obviously last year, he really wanted to, for himself, get back and pitch in the postseason. And like, I don't know if he would have, because like had they advanced beyond the wild card round, because he was being so pragmatic about it. Because you're right. Like in 23, he worked too hard and he set himself back. What he did in 24 was remarkable. He knew that was going to happen, and he made it all the way to the wild card series and pitched. He was running out of gas at elbow in 2024, and he was still going 100 miles an hour. Like his results at the end of 24 were amazing. Like Joe Musgrove his ethic is unquestioned, but I do think that he has learned from that. Now, as the process plays out, look, he's even at I don't know if you'd call it 100% healthy, but like even without there being any concerns about the elbow, a lot of pitchers say that while they can, and this is the same with ACL a lot of times too, for like football players, where that injury happens a lot, that even if they come back and they're healthy that first year, it's the second year when they're truly back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider with us right now in San Diego Sports 760. So I guess I would just, to put a bow on the Musgrove talk, how would you deem, or maybe how would the Padres deem it to be a successful year for Joe Musgrove?
Going out and making the vast majority of his starts, 25 starts. And which is, when you look and it's like, that's fairly successful. Joe probably gave you 150 innings then, if he made 25 starts. He was healthy throughout, because I don't think it would be like 25 starts shut him down. It's going to be, he pitched every 7, 8, 9 days, one period over the summer or something like that. And that could be something they do to, give him a little break and make sure he doesn't burn out. So if he makes 25 starts, that's a good year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fernando Tatis Jr., a lot of conversation this spring. I know he's off now with the WBC team with the Dominican Republic. Yesterday with the Team Dominican, he's leading off. Obviously, he's batted lower in the lineup at times here this spring. Craig Stammen has been outspoken about where Fernando Tatis Jr. may hit. What are they weighing here? What are the pros and cons of putting Tatis where he was last year in the leadoff spot as opposed to putting him further down in the lineup like third or fourth?
Well, I don't know if you saw the story I wrote, I posted today where Stan was obviously asked this morning.
Yeah.
Tatis went 3 for 3 last night, had 2 RBIs,
Yeah, I saw it.
had men on base. All 3 times he could have, because he obviously led off the game. And then the next 3 times he came up, had runners on base when he came up. And wow, that's pretty amazing. He's playing for the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Geraldo Perdomo, Silver Slugger at shortstop, is batting 9th. All right. Julio Rodriguez is batting 7th. Austin Wells is batting 8th. That's far better than what the Padres will run out this year, and like light years better than what they ran out for the majority of 2025 in the 7, 8, 9 spots. And that is really the big problem with Fernando Tatis Jr. batting first, is that he came up with the bases empty like the 10th most times in the major leagues, like now, or the 7th most times. Now, ahead of him was Shohei Ohtani, and that didn't seem to be a problem for the Dodgers. But Tatis led the Padres with 9 home runs with runners on base, despite having the 6th most at bats with runners on base. Like, he just didn't get a lot of opportunities. And so we can also talk about guys not coming through with him in scoring position. But really, it's the fact that Tatis was coming up with no one on base, like 2 outs, because the 7, 8, 9 hitters sucked until it was Ramon Laureano, Jake Cronenworth, and Freddie Fermin at the end when they had a 332 on base percentage over the final 2 months. So that, if they can do that, after my long-winded preamble, if they can do that, then Tatis in the one hole makes sense. And Tatis believes that. If you look at my story, I had a quote. I talked to him the day before he left the WBC. It was a vast conversation. And most of it was for a story on Tatis and the upcoming season. But, some parts won't fit in there. And one part that fit today was he said, yeah, if you're going to bat me leadoff, put a real lineup down there. That's what he said. So he knows what the issue was. So do the Padres. It's not a big, secret. It's a freaking waste for him to be there probably. And I take responsibility. Did I write about it last year? Sure. I was very focused on the fact that, that Luis Ariz, the number 2 hitter, was having his worst year, wasn't driving in Tatis when he was on base or moving Tatis over when he was on base. I was more focused on that. I'll say that maybe I should have been more focused too on the fact that the 7, 8, 9 hitters, but much like the Ariz batting number 2, we knew that was a problem. They're 7, 8, 9 until they made the trades. Who the heck else was going to bat for him? And where the heck else was Tatis going to bat? No one on that team was really getting on base or driving runners in. So, but if you want to be a better team this year, Tatis needs to come up with runners on base.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely. So it's interesting to see where they eventually land with that. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Here's a comment I have that I think is completely unfair, but I want your reaction anyway.
I love it.
I'm just kind of watching, I'm seeing Tatis with the Dominican team. And I don't know if you saw something like the social media stuff. They show him like in the, I don't know, weight room or clubhouse. He's dancing and he just seems to be enjoying life. And then there's sometimes I see him in the Padres clubhouse, and it's a much different temperament. I get it. WBC isn't the major leagues, 200 games opposed to 3 games or whatever. Is there something to be said for like Tatis's comfort level right now? What we're watching now, again, there's no sample size yet with this Dominican team in the WBC. I mean, there's literally no sample size, but sometimes it just feels like winter ball Tatis or playing for a nation Tatis feels like a different version of that player than what we see in San Diego. Fair or unfair?
That was 2019, 2020, and a lot of times 2021.
Right.
Tatis too, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to agree with you. That is unfair, but you elucidated all the reasons that it is unfair, right?
Right.
Like WBC playing not only for the Dominican, but now these last couple games in the Dominican,
correct,
playing for in his country that he loves. And so that you can't compare the two, but here's where I'll say that I think that it's justified your question in terms of like, what about what we sometimes see? And that will be something that I'll be addressing here in a couple of weeks. That I'm not going to write about what Tatis while he's gone. We're going to wait on that. Maybe I have a couple more questions for him. I don't know. But, yeah, Tatis needs to have a better attitude. And he knows it.
Yeah.
And he's working on it.
Yeah, you just
and
kind
the
of
Padres are working on it.
I mean, he had and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, because you're covering this team day in and day out. There was I understand it. He's under microscopes. He's in his 20s. No one else is viewed day in and day out as a 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Now he's 27, but nobody else in their 20s is asked questions by the media every day or seen on television every day. And so I get it. There's highs and lows, but it did feel like last year there was just like a 2+ month stretch where he was just like down. Like that's just the way I interpreted it. Like he just wasn't, I don't know, in the right temperament or mood. And that was reported. That's been discussed. That's been talked about on Sports Talk.
And it has. And I'm going to go as in-depth, I think, as probably anyone has. And he did, to his credit. And what I will say is, he's aware of it. The Padres are aware of it. Heck, Craig Stammen, you don't even barely have to read between the lines, has alluded to it a couple of times.
Right.
I get lost between the things he said to me, alone, but I also know that in public, he has made kind of allusions to that, of Tatis playing like Tatis. And those you can read into free, easy, fun. I will say this. I said Tatis has to have a better attitude. I'm glad that you don't do me wrong like some shows have in the past, and you just put out Kevin said Tatis has to have a better attitude, and then it's completely out of context. I appreciate you don't do that, but I want to give further context to it, that he knows it, and it is largely based. I'm not trying to excuse him, because sometimes maybe it's been immaturity or whatever. Or maybe that's just his freaking personality, because I can admit I'd be like that if I were him.
Right.
But he has think about the things Tatis says. Is he ever shy about saying that he believes he's the best or one of the handful of best players in the major leagues? And then, do you think he's an idiot? He knows he hasn't performed like that in the last 3 seasons. Right. Now, flashes, but not like that first 3 years where it was like, man, we'd already have him in the Hall of Fame if he continued like those first 3 years. So he is letting himself down. And that is a large part of what is then reflected. And anybody that's going to be down on him has the right to do that, but then also should look at themselves and ask themselves how they'd feel if they were Tatis and your expectations were that you were the best player on the planet and you're not performing like it.
Yeah, I love that perspective. It's like you knew what Tatis thought of himself last year when he's booking trips during the All-Star break, even though he ultimately played in appeared in the All-Star game. But I think when people sometimes criticize Tatis's play last year and others are like, no, it was an amazing year. I'm like, well, Tatis is telling you it wasn't an amazing year by his standards. Not to say he's not I mean, he's a terrific player. He's a brilliant defender. He's helping you win games, even when he's not hitting 42 home runs, but he's not living up to his own expectations. And that's abundantly clear.
The fairness question is an interesting one because what is fair for a guy who they were practically building a statue for, right? Like 14 years, is that right? I lost track. $340 million. You're the future of the franchise. Like, you know, all the things he's been through, like just like when we hold Manny Machado to a certain standard. Wait until Aaron Judge doesn't have a great season in New York. Like when you are making the big bucks and you have performed at a certain level, like, you know, that's the standard people are going to hold you to. And if you're Fernando, who isn't shy about it, well, like, I mean, I do think there have been some what I would call unfair. I think some people, like, it's really easy to read into, like, oh, you see a clip or you see a guy in the dugout or whatever. And either you go, wow, that guy's a great guy. Look, he's smiling. And I'm like, that guy's a great guy? Well, it's good news to me. Or you judge a guy by saying, what a jerk. And it's like, no, that's probably one of the best clubhouse leaders there are. Like that kind of thing. Like, I do think that we all fall prey to that in this age where everything's available on TV and the broadcast and the social media and all that. But with Tatis, I think that there is some validity to this analysis.
Kevin, love the reporting and your insight, and our listeners appreciate it. And we will do it again soon from Peoria as we get closer to opening day. But thanks as always for taking time for us.
Right on, man.
All right, we'll react to that on the other side here until 6 p.m. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760 congratulates our $5,000 winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher. Powered by Donors Choose, there is still time for you to nominate a public school teacher making a difference, and maybe they'll be one of our next winners of $5,000 to make over their classroom. You can help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. We started the show today, a lifetime ago, talking about Joe Musgrove's return. Now, it's not a full return. It's 22 days out. It's Peoria. His competition today, Great Britain. I don't even know what that means. I mean, he faced the WBC Great Britain squad, and he hadn't pitched since the postseason of 2024. His last appearance, the Padres led the Dodgers 2-1 before the Dodgers had won their first of back-to-back World Series. Think about that. His last appearance, the Padres led 2-1. I have that right? And obviously we know how the rest of the history plays out there. And it's been a long year for Joe Musgrove. But the encouraging thing is, and again, he's not back in the postseason. He's not throwing 180 innings or whatever. But he is back at a major league mound, even if it is against a WBC squad in Great Britain. And I do think it's promising. It represents what is possible this year for both Musgrove and the Padres. And it's not to oversell it. I'm not going to tell people, and I'll say this all year long, it's not going to be perfect for Musgrove. He's not going to have a career year. He's coming off Tommy John. Now, I don't think he's also going to have the worst year of his career. I think he's capable of putting together a solid season with ups and downs. And we have to recognize that that's a distinct possibility, that his numbers might be elevated to some extent, or maybe not. Maybe he put together a very good year. But what it signifies is you've got one of your true leaders back. Someone that is so impactful, whether it's on field or off. It's not only about his numbers. It's not only about, well, he went 7 innings, not 6, or he went, he allowed 3 runs, not 2. It's not solely going to be about the numbers. It's about what he represents, his importance to this team, again, on and off field. And we know at his best what he is capable of. I mean, there's been a number of occasions over the years with Joe Musgrove that you would say you'd rather have him have the ball than anyone else. But regardless of who's been on your roster, the Michael Kings, the Yu Darvishes, even, the Blake Snells. There have been moments in time, 2022 Citi Field, I would have said it, 2024 postseason. There were moments in time where you just wanted to give the ball to Joe Musgrove and take your chances. And it's just good to see him back. It's not about his numbers today. His velocity was good. I think he was throwing around 95 miles per hour. He went 3 innings. He threw, I think, between 50 to 60 pitches. He allowed a handful of hits. Who cares? Ultimately, what matters right now on March 2nd against Great Britain is health, about returning to some level of form at some point in 2026, and about putting the Tommy John surgery behind him. Now, he was quoted today as saying, he knows that oftentimes with players, it takes 2 full years off that surgery to return to form. He's not 2 full years off the surgery. However, he is a lot further along than others that have the surgery. Why? Because he had it in October, which means you have a full offseason plus a year. Like if you have the surgery in April, you try to get back like the next April. But that's only 12 months. But when you have the surgery in October, yeah, you miss the next year, but then you have the full offseason on the other side. He'll be a true, right now he's 17 months. By opening day, you're pushing 18 months. Modern Tommy John surgery, again, there's guys that have come back in 10 months from that surgery. So he's had plenty of time. And can he capture command? Can he return to form? He will at some point. I just would say give him the benefit of time. Don't expect it March 29th or whenever he makes his first outing of the year. And, if he goes 2 2/3 innings and allows 2 runs, it's okay. It's March 29th. They hope to be playing in October. So I'll give him that leeway. I really will. Because he's coming off a significant injury. But again, do I think that their ceiling is higher because Joe Musgrove is back? Yeah, I could definitely buy into that. And I'm looking forward to watching him pitch in 2026 because there'll be a moment in time in 2026 it clicks. And maybe it's earlier, maybe it's later, but there will be a stretch in time where it clicks for Joe Musgrove. and everyone's going to be really encouraged and go down the path of what that's going to mean for the Padres over the course of this year. All right, so Joe Musgrove makes his debut against Great Britain. Padres are 3 weeks out from opening day, discussing all the news involving the Padres. Again, the WBC underway. A lot of Padres out of camp, including Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Mason Miller, and others. Also talking about what played out last night in Boise for the Aztecs, who have now dropped 4 of 5. We're here until 6 p.m. This is San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. The Patriots released wide receiver Stephon Diggs after only one season. Diggs' cap hit was set to rise from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. And if he was still on the roster by the end of next week, it would have added an additional $6 million to his guaranteed contract money. The Rams and the Chiefs agreed to a trade, sending all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of draft picks. And in college football news, legendary head coach Lou Holtz passed away at the age of 89. Holtz led the Fighting Irish to national title in 1988 and was, of course, part of ESPN's college football coverage for over 10 years. Tomorrow night, it's the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 o'clock. John and the Aztecs head coach will preview Friday night's senior night game and more. The Brian Dutcher Coaches Show tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Whoever said opposites attract was definitely talking about the new spicy menu at DQ. Spicy flamethrower chicken strips served with a dip of sweet DQ soft serve. Sounds wrong, but tastes so right. The new spicy menu at DQ. Happy tastes good for a limited time at participating locations.
All right, Brent's back page coming up at 5:45 in the next 15 minutes. I just pulled a Jim. My mic was off
for like 20 seconds.
Whatever. It's been a long day. I went to sleep past midnight in Boise. I woke up by 5. I was all worried about missing my alarm and my flight. You know me with the flights. So it's been a long, long day. It's been a long week. It's been a long month, year, decade. We do want to remind you the new Elephant Valley at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park is now open. You can get up close and roam alongside the world's largest land animals. And again, this is available now. Elephant Valley now open at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. And all week long, we do have chances for you to win a family 4-pack of tickets to see Elephant Valley. I laughed at a headline I just saw on social media from Pro Football Talk. And it reads this: Dak Prescott, right? Cowboys can make a big jump by adding veteran talent. That's what he said today. I'm like, no, they can't. Stop. Guys, I mean, come on. No team in the NFC has had a longer drought between championship games than the Dallas Cowboys.
They do.
It's like you can't keep doing the exact same thing for a generation or two and expect anything to change. But Dak's really good. He is. He's good. He's good. But guess what? The team isn't.
They did restructure a bunch of contracts today to get him under the cap.
I saw that. I mean, let's just look at. But here's the thing. It's like Dak Prescott has been leading this franchise at quarterback for how long? And I mean, I just cannot be convinced of it, especially in the NFC East. I mean, look at this, dude. 7-9 last year, 7-10 the year before. The year before that, lost wild card, lost divisional round, lost wild card. Just stop. Like, it's the same old
thing.
They should
just quit.
You know what? That's what they should exactly do. You know what? It's over before it starts. It's over before it starts. But no, this is the year. They're going to be better than, forget about Jaden Daniels, with Washington. Forget the Eagles. And it's Dallas. You know what's going to happen.
The Cowboys are a lot like the Padres. We always sit there during the Padres season and we'll be like, man, it's either, when the team hits, their pitching is crap. When the pitching is good, they can't hit. And it's just like, can we get them to do like both things simultaneously? And, they'd probably win more games. That's kind of the way the Cowboys are. When their offense was really good, their defense sucked and they couldn't stop anybody. When their defense was good, their offense was horrible and they couldn't move the ball. So there's kind of like a yin and a yang thing going here to where, when they have good offense, they have no defense. And that's kind of where they are again now because, they traded Micah Parsons and a bunch of other people. So they kind of have to go with the philosophy of, we're just going to outscore everybody. And that doesn't work. Not consistently, no.
Yeah, it's kind of like the theory of out hitting. I mean, I'll take good pitching over hitting. Now, teams that slug have had a lot of postseason success, including the LA Dodgers, but they also had good pitching this past postseason, obviously. Or like in the NBA, I mean, can you outscore people? Of course you can. But yeah, the Dallas strategy, whatever the strategy is, I mean, it's crazy because we grow up, dominant franchise, a true dynasty, 3 out of 4 years. They win a Super Bowl and they haven't even been back to a championship game. And that was pre-internet. Like that we touched on earlier, like that they have not been to a championship game since the mid 1990s. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to break through, but I have no confidence. Like that's one of those franchises where at least I could sell you on the Buffalo Bills. Of course you can. I can sell you on Baltimore right now, even though Lamar Jackson hasn't broken through. Shoot, I might be able to sell you on Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if I could sell you on the Dallas Cowboys if I tried really, really, really hard. I really, well, what? Because they restructured some dollars and now they can go out and make some moves. So now all of a sudden Jerry Jones has figured this thing out. No.
And one of the things with the Cowboys too is though, not the past 2 years, but they can be a really great regular season.
Yeah, they've had good regular seasons. Yeah.
But once they get into the playoffs, then they just choke or, it's one of those Murphy Law things where, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. I always remember that I don't remember who they played in that playoff game, but they had a pooch field goal from like
I remember that.
And Tony Romo botched the snap.
That wasn't Philadelphia, was it?
It might have been. I don't remember who they
Green
played.
Bay?
No, it wasn't Green Bay. I don't remember that. That would have pissed me off. Yeah, it wasn't. I know for a fact it wasn't Green Bay. It might have been Philly, but I just remember the snap.
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay, and Romo bobbled the snap, and like I said, it was a gimme. You and me probably could have made that field goal. It was so close.
19 yards.
Yeah, and he bobbled it, and that was.
It's
just
been
like
all downhill
another
since then.
Yeah.
It's been I mean, that was kind of infamous if you're a Cowboys fan, and maybe iconic if you're an NFL fan. Listen, I'm not here to tell you that they don't resonate. More people watch the Cowboys than like the Chiefs. I mean, they resonate.
They're America's team.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake. They'll put them on Thanksgiving. Watch the viewers come to their television sets. Put them on against the Eagles or the Giants. I mean, it is you're just cashing checks. So yeah, there's no team that's more relevant, even though they've been relatively irrelevant.
Oh yeah, it's I tell people back home all the time, because there's a bunch of fan bases that try to say that they're America's team, and my retort is always, I work in San Diego, California, and we are a Cowboys affiliate.
Right, that's all you need to know.
We're not a Bears affiliate. We're not a Packers affiliate. We're not, a Jets affiliate. We're a Cowboys affiliate in California. I said, that tells you all you need to know about them actually being America's team. It's like you said, besides getting, Thanksgiving every year and all the primetime games, whether they deserve them or not, they are America's team. And so there's not a lot of teams that have affiliates outside of their state.
Yeah, I mean, they've been marketed beautifully. Back to your Padres analogy. I mean, obviously the Padres are not America's team, but they've been marketed here beautifully, and it's led to obviously high ticket sales and interest. And the Cowboys have trained in California for a long time, also kind of, a significant part of that. And I don't know exactly how and when it dates back to or how it came to be, but it's inarguable. And there's other unbelievable franchises. I mean,
it was NFL Films.
Is it NFL Films that dubbed them?
Old NFL Films dubbed them that, and one of the things that it stuck.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, they're not the only franchise that's an absolute behemoth in the sport. There's the beauty of the NFL is there are 8 or 10 massive franchises and fan bases that draw. There's also 8 or 10 that don't. I mean, there's Jacksonville, there's the Chargers, there's Carolina.
Look, I don't think they've fallen as far as Nebraska football or Notre Dame football to a certain extent of where they're still living off of what they did 45 years ago, but they're still relevant in a way to where
where Nebraska
thinks Nebraska thinks they're still relevant, but in reality, outside of Lincoln, everyone knows that they're not.
Well, would Notre Dame be the better comp? Because Notre Dame is relevant. Maybe not like they were in the 1940s, but they've got the national brand. They have the national TV deal. They do draw well compared to other. Like Notre Dame outdraws Penn State, for example.
Well, and the national
Wisconsin,
and the national media is quick to jump on their bandwagon
or
as soon as they can,
or hate. I mean, they kind of do resonate, but then you kind of think, well, it's kind of fitting with the passing of Lou Holtz today that he's got their last championship, right? It was 1988.
And they've been to a couple.
They've been very good.
Teo and his fake girlfriend and all that stuff.
They've been very relevant. I mean, to your point, who's had more success over the last 30 years at their respective sport? Is it Notre Dame or the Dallas Cowboys? I'd say Notre Dame. But also at the end of the day, they're living a lot off their glory, their heydays. I mean, with Notre Dame, we're going back even further. I mean, the true heyday of Notre Dame is
New Rock,
a century ago. So, yeah, I think there's some Notre Dame and Dallas. Obviously, you can't compare. I mean, Cowboys are as big as it gets. I think in America, in American professional sports, you can include the New York Yankees. You can include the LA Lakers. But the Dallas Cowboys being the biggest sport in this country, playing the biggest sport in this country, being the biggest brand, I think it's basically as big as it gets in America.
I almost wonder if they just need Jerry to retire.
Well, definitely.
And then maybe that will fix it. Because the Bears were in a somewhat similar situation because Virginia McCaskey was super cheap and she did not want to spend money because they were still selling tickets. And that's all she cared about was that they were selling tickets. She didn't care if they won or not. And, then when she passed away, they got new people in there that were like, we actually care about winning. We don't care about just what happens in the turnstiles. So I'm not saying he's got to pass away, but maybe just, retire and, let one of his kids or whoever's going to take over the Cowboys after that. It'd be better off they hired somebody, but I don't see Jerry
It's
doing
going to
that.
be his son.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jerry's going nowhere. There's no ride off into the sunset.
He'll be calling shots from the shadows.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be doing this for as long as he is living. All right, we will get to Brent's back page on the other side. We're here until 6 p.m. This is San Diego Sports 760, and we are live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. John Schaefer, Brent Sperry here until 6 p.m. We do have the Brian Dutcher Show tomorrow. We do have Aztecs basketball senior night from Viejas Arena coming up Friday at 7. The final time in the regular season for the Aztecs, looking to bounce back. They've lost 4 of 5. They're playing a red-hot UNLV team, by the way. A helter-skelter UNLV team, but a team that's got some momentum. They just beat Utah State. They swept Utah State this year in the regular season. So the Aztecs get the Rebels. They beat them in Vegas about a month or so ago, and we'll see if they can complete the regular season sweep. By the way, there's a possibility they meet in the quarterfinal round of the Mountain West tournament as well. There's still a lot to be determined, but that is possible. And San Diego State, I mentioned this earlier, still mathematically remains alive for a share of a regular season title. Doesn't mean they'd be the top seed, but I'm doing the math on it. They would need New Mexico to lose tonight to Colorado State. And then they would need New Mexico to beat Utah State on Saturday. And then I think you have 3 teams that would be 14-6 in the league if the Aztecs beat UNLV on Friday. So there's still a ton to play for, is the point for San Diego State come Friday night. Big game. And again, the Aztecs haven't lost 3 straight since Brian Dutcher's first year. I think that's right. January of 2018. They'll try to avoid a 3-game losing streak when they play again on Friday night. All right. Without further ado, let's get to it.
We'll start with Reese's. You like Reese's, right?
Love Reese's.
How much do you love Reese's?
I like them a lot. I mean, I'm not going to like go jump off a bridge for them.
Do you just want like everything to taste like Reese's?
Some things I don't want, like my salad to taste like Reese's.
What about your toothpaste?
My son does, yes.
I might be on that boat too.
Yeah.
A toothpaste company is partnered with Reese's and to have Reese's toothpaste. You can't get it in the States. It's only available in Australia and New Zealand.
This is a Jim story.
Well, sort of. You can get it online, but depending on what the international shipping rates are, it's made by a company called High Smile. Or High Smiles.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that.
Well, because they were famous because they were the ones that came up with that KFC flavored toothpaste a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think Jim might have done in one of his back pages. But yeah, it's the same company that made the KFC. I think it was mashed potatoes and gravy or chicken and gravy toothpaste. This sounds way better.
This is
one.
Reese's peanut butter cup. Toothpaste?
Yeah. It's just supposed to taste like Reese's.
Is it really good for you? Like, is it really toothpaste?
Well, there's no sugar in it. So yeah, it is actual toothpaste. It's just going to be, it's like this stuff that like, you might buy for Jones or like when we were kids, there's like, remember it tastes like bubble gum to where it wasn't actual sugar and bubble gum. It was just something besides mint to get, stubborn kids like us to brush your teeth.
The mint stuff was the absolute worst.
Yeah. Especially when you're a kid. Now it's like good, but yeah, when you're a kid, I needed the blue crest that tasted like, bubblegum.
Do they still do fluoride? Remember they put it in the whole like mouth guard and you'd put it on your teeth? Did you ever have that?
I think so.
Oh, that was the
I'm
worst.
not sure. I don't know. I think they just
that.
put it all. It's all in the toothpaste, and depending on what city you live in, they put it in the water too.
Yeah. To like strengthen your teeth or whatever. Yeah.
So if you want to, you can go on to High Smiles website and you can order yourself some. Like I said, I don't know what the international shipping rates are going to be from Australia and New Zealand since it's all the way on the other side of the world. But
I get an easier way to do it. Buy some Reese's peanut butter cups, rub your toothbrush on them.
I don't think that's going to work. I think
try that for 3 months and see what the dentist says.
Well, yeah, you should do that for 3 months. You won't need the toothpaste.
Won't have teeth.
Yeah, you won't have teeth. You don't need the toothpaste.
Right.
Let's see. We have some auction news. A prop from the second Ace Ventura movie starring Jim Carrey, which would be Ace Ventura When Nature Calls. John, that was the one when he goes to Africa.
Okay.
There's a very famous scene where he is spying on this guy who he thinks is the bad guy of the movie, and he is in this like fake mechanical rhinoceros, and that is like his cover for like following this guy. But in the movie, the the air conditioning and everything in the Rhino, and the fans all die. So he gets too hot, he starts to sweat, and he takes all of his clothes off, and he can't breathe, so he has to escape from this fake rhino that's made out of like rubber. So in the movie, he escapes from the backside of the fake rhino as tourists drive by, and they initially think that, oh, look, the rhino's giving birth to a baby. And then a butt naked Jim Carrey comes sliding out of the fake rhino.
That's amazing.
Well, they're auctioning off that fake rhino from the famous, what they've dubbed it, butt birth scene from Ace Ventura.
How
When
much is
Nature
that?
Calls. Let's see if they sold it yet. I don't think they sell it. They just put it up for auction. Oh, wait, hold on. The mechanical rhino is going up for auction through prop store auction later this month. The starting bid, they claim, is cheap. It's only $2,000 with an estimated final price they think is going to be between $4,000 and $8,000. So if
that's not bad, right?
No, not really. And if you're a big Jim Carrey fan, and in terms of like Ace Ventura lore, that's probably one of the most hilarious scenes in the two movies is the whole rhino thing. It's one of my favorite scenes. So
right.
I had a big smile on my face when I was like, oh God, they're going to auction off the rhino.
Yeah, I like that.
And then finally, our friends over at Dave's Hot Chicken, they have a new menu item that is going to be debuting in 6 days on March 10th.
Okay.
Dave's Hot Chicken is now going to have what they're calling, what was it? Hot Maz.
Hot Maz.
As in mozzarella. You know how you certain certain places have the big
sticks.
Well, not the sticks, but you can get like that big
it's awesome,
cube,
like a chunk.
Yeah, that big cube that's pretty much looks like
awesome.
a fish fillet, only it's cheese.
Is it breaded?
Yes.
Oh,
it's going to have the Dave's Hot Chicken like seasoning and everything on
Incredible.
it. But yeah, you'll be able to get Hot Maz at Dave's Hot Chicken starting nationwide on March 10th. They've already got videos going on because it's viral to do like the cheese pull thing to see how far the cheese will stretch. So I guess it's just remarkable. So I guess it's got so much cheese in it that the cheese pull is just going crazy online. So,
March 10th, all locations?
Yep, all locations nationwide on March 10th. So,
it's funny you said that. I did go to Dave's and got the like the cauliflower. Like the not chicken, the Dave's not chicken. It was really good. I went within the last month.
Oh yeah,
since we had Dave's here, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Dave's
fan.
They got one over by my house. So yeah, I'm a big Dave's fan. So I'm really excited to try. Plus I'm from Wisconsin. Don't tempt me with cheese.
Yeah.
So
I mean, okay, I like that. That's a good alert for our listeners that's going to be available March 10th. Who doesn't like a good block of cheese?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll bring us some.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Dave's is pretty good about that. So
it'd be amazing.
They just randomly bring us goodies all the time. So who knows? Maybe they'll be promoting it. And we'll get lucky.
You hear that, Dave's?
Yeah, or not, or maybe I'll just go buy some and bring some in. Who knows?
Preferably just bring it over though. We'll initially. All right, good show. Oh, I don't know what that was about, but good show. And we're going to be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. with more. Getting you ready for again tomorrow night a Brian Dutcher show. Aztecs basketball Friday night, senior night against UNLV. Another tough game. They all have been here recently. And of course, the latest from Padres land as well. And here at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And we've got the Brian Dutcher show tomorrow night again coming up at 6 p.m. If you missed anything today, make sure to check out sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. If you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, you can find that as well at sportssd.com. All right, Sammy Long was here earlier. So for Sammy and for Brent, my name is John Schaefer. Keep it right here. This is San Diego Sports 760